hear he's got his own billiard room.
Yes, it's what do you call it, Kramer? The billiard room? No. The name. The billiard? Not the billiards. It was. Come on, Rudy. Come on. We call it the
place to be.
The place to be. Yes, it's the place to be.
Then I shall be there.
Now, it's time. Live and in living color, the Grandy Man can.
Time to play the game.
Well, you always left me satisfied and smiling, so.
That's what she said.
Why do I want this?
Yeah.
Because I want to make bank, bro. I want to get ass. I want to drive a Range Rover.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is now time for the Place to Be podcast. And now your hosts, Justin Rosero and Scott Criscolo.
Yesterday's too long ago. Don't agree with what I know.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to the Place to Be Dungeon. I am your co-host, Justin Rosero, and we are back after our week-long sabbatical as my friend and PIC and partner in crime headed off, setting sail, and missed possibly the greatest week in wrestling in about 10 years. And he caught a lot of flack for that. I caught a lot of flack for that. But we are back, and we will promise to you that we're going to make it up to you. And, of course, I do need to bring in the man who spent the last week sailing the high seas with Captain Jack Sparrow and the rest of his family. And that is my PIC for Norwalk CT, Scotty C. Scott, welcome back.
Behold the King of Kings. On your knees, dog.
First off, Mr. Rosero, it is always good to hear the voice of my brother in PIC. And it was a fine trip. It was a fine vacation. The weather was a little shaky out in the South Atlantic, but Bermuda is beautiful. I recommend going there to everyone, whether straight there or by a cruise.
Now, were you aware that JBL actually makes his residence out there?
I was looking for him. We parked in Kings Wharf, but that's like the old British Navy part of Bermuda. When I took the ferry over to Hamilton, which is the capital, it was quite nice. So I was kind of searching, saw some big houses, saw some big facilities. Thought maybe I'd see him. Maybe he was off pimping the energy drink, but no, I did not see. I did not see JBL.
That's
but
let's hope you could have lined him up for an interview for us.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely would have, of course. Welcome everyone, and it's good to be back because for me, in essence, this is like Christmas.
Yeah, but it's like you slept through Christmas. That's what it is. And now you're waking up on New Year's and you're like, wow, I missed this great gift that was left under my tree. Gift wrapped by Vince McMahon. That is quite true. That is quite true. But it is good to be back. I'd like to thank the PICs, my PIC, and the rest of the PTB Nation. Most of them, anyway. There's a couple of you out there, and you know who you are, and I'll get to you later, who tried to infiltrate and get into the mind of my PIC, but I'll get to you later. They were calling me out. I was under heavy fire this week. I was really, for the first time, since we started this, we had a lot of backlash. First, our boy Jeremy Nichols, all pissed off that claiming I paraphrased his feedback from Royal Rumble 91. I felt awful. I didn't know what was going on, and so I shook that off finally, and then. A few days later, all this madness happens in the world of wrestling, and I'm coming under heavy fire on the Facebook page. I mean, we love it. We love our fans and listeners, but we will have some responses for you, especially a certain YMCA employee that we're not too happy with. So,
but as the intro suggests, royalty has taken his seat, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, so
we have a loaded show, and I've been joking with Justin over the last few days since I came back last week that every week we do pre-production meetings and talk about what we'll do, and we're always like, the summer the headlines are a little flat, not much going on. Maybe we'll start doing some themes, and every time he says that, the friggin' world explodes and something comes up. So here we are again with another hot headline show, and. Yeah, I did miss. I didn't miss Raw last week. I actually watched it on my DVR. I did, however, did miss what turned out to be, at least from you and from a few people, maybe the best pay-per-view probably in the last 3 years.
Oh, I definitely think so. It's up there. I mean, it's definitely up there.
Of course, we're talking about Money in the Bank, which took place last Sunday night at the Allstate Arena in Chicago. It might be the first time ever, not counting WrestleManias, it might be the first time ever that I actually buy a pay-per-view while it's in stores currently. Usually, as we've documented here on The Place to Be, Justin and I collect the full pay-per-view catalog, but we usually wait a couple of years, go on Amazon, knock them down, maybe half price. This one, I don't think I could wait. And if you were unfortunately like me, and maybe you had I don't know if you could have had a better reason than me for missing it, but maybe, I suggest buying it because it seemed like it was top to bottom one of the best, if not the best show of the last 5 years. It definitely was the best secondary show of the last 5 years.
And I'm actually pretty proud that, I actually implored people on multiple sites to kind of go out, and if you really wanted change in the world of wrestling, if this is something you wanted to see CM Punk in a main event with this hot angle, I said if you could afford it, it's one thing if you can't, but if you could afford it, to pay money for this show. Don't illegally download it. Do what you can to support it so they know, so they get the answer in the buy rates, when those come in and they see how strong of a draw that angle was.
Yep.
And we went ahead. I did order, actually. It was the first pay-per-view since WrestleMania 2007, WrestleMania 23. So this is the first one I ordered here since 2007. So WrestleMania 23.
Right.
So yeah, I was proud that my money went to such a good show. Luckily they delivered. I would have been upset. Of course, I didn't pay for it my own. We split it, but still, it was a pay-per-view buy for them. So. But
you still had food from Picasso's though, so it did feel like regular time. Which is of course the place in Warwick that they normally go for their shows. Yeah. And on top of that, I want to mention something later on in the show. An email I got today. You probably got it too because you're signed on WWE.com. Did you get the email today that said come to WWE headquarters?
It might be under my old email address that I don't check too often.
All right. So I'll talk about it a little bit later on because something is happening now. There is a feeling of fresh air being breathed within that company. And I'll explain this email later on in the show. And maybe a lot of people who do subscribe to WWE.com got it today. Our friends, Dr. G, actually it's Mrs. G, she forwarded me, she got the email, and then I got it myself. And I'll get into it a little bit later. But to me, it's an extension of what we're going to talk about tonight because really something's happening now. I don't think there's any question about it. And let's be honest, Justin and I did the half-season review, the half-year review a couple weeks ago, and we were practically, and this is, and I'm saying this figuratively, not literally, but we practically sleptwalked through it.
Yeah. Right.
Because the first half of the year, we didn't, of course. It was a great podcast as always, but the content was very difficult. It was not a great first 6 months of the year.
No, it was decent. It had its highlights, but yeah, definitely, right. If Money in the Bank is any kind of precursor to what the second half of the year, we're in for a great ride.
Yeah.
And for the second year in a row, really, so far, Money in the Bank is the pay-per-view of the year. Last year it was very, very good, and this year is an all-timer.
Yes.
It also features a match that, obviously we say grade your own, rate your own, but Dave Meltzer, this is the first North American match, I think, since Punk and Joe in 2005 that he gave a 5-star rating to.
Absolutely.
And it's also the first WWF match since Michaels and Taker Hell in a Cell that he gave 5 stars to.
He didn't give 5 stars to Shawn and Taker from
No, I don't think
25? So. Really? Wow. Tough critic. But first things first, what we'll do is we will go over. Well, Justin will be able. I watch bits and pieces. I actually went on YouTube. I haven't had a chance to buy. I was going to buy the encore. I haven't had a chance to, but I might just wait till the DVD comes out. And that's also a good thing for those that missed it. Buy the DVD because the DVD sales will prove the point as well. So
yeah, it won't be on. I know you mentioned about maybe if it's on demand, it won't be on there for a little while because right now they're just showing Elimination Chamber, so they're about 5 months behind.
Okay, so that'll come on demand like probably November most likely. So I caught bits and pieces on YouTube. So I have not seen the whole show, so I'm going to let Justin kind of. We'll let Justin kind of lead the charge of the pay-per-view. What was it like? I mean, obviously, when the show opened, the crowd must have been off the charts. I mean, we're in Chi-Town.
The crowd was hot pretty much the whole show. There was a couple spots they died off a little. The main event, they were insane. I mean, to me, this is the most hyped. I was excited for the WrestleManias with Shawn and Taker and Brett and all that stuff, but individually, this might be the first show I was really hyped for since One Night Stand, the first, both of them.
Yes.
As far as like knowing it was going to be a great atmosphere and a great crowd, and this crowd did not disappoint. They were into it from the start. I've mentioned before too. Sometimes you watch it at home with a small group. If the show's a little bland, it can kind of start to get a little tedious. But I mean, me and my two friends, our buddy Andy was on the show, and then our friend Jim, we were literally like edge of seat the whole show. I mean, we were into it the whole time, especially the main event. So, just to step that up. So the opener, of course, is the SmackDown main Money in the Bank. Daniel Bryan, Kane, Sin Cara, Wade Barrett, Cody Rhodes, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, and Sheamus. Going in, I thought Sheamus was going to win. On our message board, though, Bigelow34proboards.com, our friend Derek LaRue, who runs the pick'em for the pay-per-views on there, he had us choose a winner and then a second guy who we thought could win to get 1 point, and then if you pick the winner outright, you get 2 points. And I actually took Daniel Bryan as my second choice because I had a feeling they may do something to a Punk or they wanted him in the mix, kind of to appeal to that internet crowd that was going to be tuning in that night. So that was kind of where I was at going in, and I think you had taken. Did you take Shane? Oh no, you took Wade Barrett, right?
I took Wade Barrett. Yeah.
He was pretty good in this match. Now, of course, the big thing early on was Sin Cara doing a pretty nasty bump through the ladder off the top rope, and he was carried out of the match. A lot of people wondering why they did that, and of course, it came out later that he was suspended 30 days for a wellness violation.
What an idiot!
And that came out later that week. Now he's claiming. This has kind of been a whole ongoing thing. I guess it actually failed it in June, but he claimed that he had proof, that it was either prescribed or that he didn't know, and then they didn't find the proof satisfactory. But he's claiming, it was unintentional, as always.
Right.
There's word out there that he may actually be gone. He may not come back. But then the last thing I saw said that, he is expected back. So I'm not sure really where he's going. And of course, he was really Triple H's first big guy that he's been behind out of developmental since he took over that system. So it's kind of a rough start to the Triple H era if he does go quickly and fades into just being a footnote, Ultimate Dragon style. So, I hope he comes back and gets a second shot. I thought he had some potential. And maybe it'll be good for him to get a reset and kind of restart fresh.
He'd be pretty stupid because, you don't get a lot of endorsements, from the King. And obviously, Sin Cara should just look at Sheamus and figure that out. So he should just, clean himself up and realize, all right, I screwed the pooch on this one, and be all right. And I saw the nasty. What did he get? Power bombed, I think, on the ladder.
Yeah. It was a nasty spot.
Yeah, it was pretty sick, and just an indicator of why this pay-per-view has become so great. Because anything can happen. You just get all these flexible guys in there, and it makes for a great match. I'm looking forward to seeing the whole thing. I only caught a couple of pieces that people posted on YouTube, but I did see that power bomb, and it was pretty sick.
And really what they maybe should do with Sin Cara is leave him off through the end of the year and have him return as a special guest in the Rumble, and then just build to a match with him and Ray at WrestleMania. And just get that done, and then decide if you want him to be back this time or not.
Right.
I think that's kind of maybe where I would go with it.
Exactly. I think so, too. There's plenty of stuff going on that you don't need to rush him back and try and shoehorn him in something.
No.
There's a lot of stuff going on Raw, and SmackDown's kicking now. Let him cool his heels and maybe send him to Tampa for a little bit and then bring him back in December. Or, like I said, special guy in the Rumble, and he'll be fine.
But yeah, outside of that, the nasty powerbomb there, Sin Cara leaves. The rest of the guys was a little bit of a train wreck kind of match, which is good. I mean, that's what I expected with the guys that were in there. Everyone worked really hard. Everyone took some good bumps. Cody, really kind of came across looking strong, kind of like a star, I thought. Wade Barrett, I don't know. I don't know if he really shined maybe to the level that you thought he was going to. He was good. It definitely felt like, one of the few guys who had a chance, obviously. You knew Gabriel and
Slater.
Slater had no chance. And you knew Kane, they probably weren't going to do that for the second year in a row. And honestly, going in, you probably thought, does Danny Bryan really have a shot, or is that just, kind of smarky fantasy booking?
Right.
So it really looked like Barrett or Sheamus just to win. And I thought really Sheamus was shooing the way he's been programmed. But maybe that should have been a tip, the way he's already been in the main events. Usually those guys don't win this kind of thing.
Right.
So, but yeah, the match itself was going along good. At the 24-minute mark, Bryan and Wade Barrett fighting the ladder. He knocks Barrett off, goes up and retrieves Money in the Bank. So, big shock there.
Yep.
I thought the crowd loved it. Daniel Bryan's celebration was excellent. It's kind of been an interesting year for him. It was about a year ago that he was fired. All this stuff was going on, trying to get him back. Came back at SummerSlam, and he's kind of just been floating around aimlessly. So now it looks like he's going to be in the forefront, at least from here and through WrestleMania, if they stick with this storyline they have going. Because this past Friday on SmackDown, which is actually, I implore you and anyone who hasn't watched it yet to watch it. It might have been one of the best SmackDowns of the year. And we talked about that a little bit on the Facebook page. But he had an interview with Michael Cole, and Michael Cole was trash talking him as always, and was kind of saying, you'll be the first guy to choke and lose. And Daniel, and he was like saying, you're such a nice guy and everything, but just like every other Money in the Bank winner, you're going to come in and attack the champion from behind when he's down and take advantage and all this stuff. And Daniel Bryan said, nope, that's not going to happen because I'm announcing right now I'm going to challenge at WrestleMania. So Daniel Bryan officially lays out the challenge for his Money in the Bank to cash in at WrestleMania. So
that's interesting because, what does that entail for who wins the Rumble? The one thing about SmackDown, you can kind of tinker and toy with it over a few month period. No one will really get upset. That's the reason SmackDown is there. So I think that's a good idea. And Cole could bait him. And
you made a good point, and I want to touch on this because I was actually thinking of this while I was watching SmackDown Friday night. Is it really, the way they set this up, is it really fair? Now, what's going to be on the line at the Rumble this year? Because Rock and Cena, I guess Cena's not technically champion right now, but you figure that's going to be for the title. And now Daniel Bryan's already challenged the other champion, basically. So if you win the Rumble, what are you getting this year?
I know. Do they do what Cena did in 2008? And use it at the Chamber? Make the Chamber a title match? Or
maybe someone trying to fuck up, Cena Rock, saying, you know what, I want to cash in my Rumble title shot here because I want to screw up that match, and Cena.
Yeah.
Unless Cena Rock isn't going to be for the title, maybe Punk keeps it. So,
yeah. And what is CM Punk's future? I mean, we'll get to that a little bit later, but there's still a lot of questions, and there's still, and I'm not being a cynic, but there's still a lot of room to screw this up too. I don't see that happening now, but I feel like they have a nice plan laid out, and this was a good start. Daniel Bryan's a guy who deserves the opportunity. He's not a flunky. He seems like a guy who will take this seriously, and I think he's a lot like Punk in the sense that I think he understands the position that's been given to him, and he's that good a wrestler in the ring that he's not going to blow this, and he's not going to do what Sin Cara did, which is just absolutely retarded on all levels. I don't think he's going to do that. So I don't think I'm sure there was a lot of bantering in booking to give him the belt, whether whoever was in charge of this made the right move. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of votes for Sheamus to win this. I'm sure there was a lot of votes for Wade Barrett to win this. I'm sure you even said it on our podcast. I'm sure there were a couple of votes for Cody Rhodes to win it. But, I applaud whoever, whether it was Triple H or Michael Hayes or whoever, had the idea to give this kid the shot. I applaud them because now it's time to take risks. We've been talking about this since fucking November. Take risks.
Yep.
And it's time now.
We said this too when the draft happened, and we broke it down that I really do think Daniel Bryan going to SmackDown was a really good move for him in his career because they really do allow guys to go out and wrestle and put on longer matches, and it just fits his style better. And that's why a lot of people still kind of argue that they should end the brand extension. I'm back to thinking maybe they shouldn't because I kind of like the divergence in styles that it does exist. If you watch SmackDown, it's just so much different, especially this week where they just had a lot of matches, a lot of wrestling. They have pretty good storylines, hooking storylines that just slowly evolve week to week. So, they have a lot of compelling stuff going on over there that kind of harkens back to old school style of TV show for wrestling. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that the whole belt situation, because that's the reason why a lot of people think the brand extension should end, is the titles. But right now, it's okay because it seems like you have. It's weird because it's almost like SmackDown has become kind of the old school, like wrestling, grappling, in-ring promotion, and Raw, and we'll get more into this when we get to after the pay-per-view, but it almost seems like the Raw booking is turned into the Attitude Era, where the belt is kind of there, but it's all about the characters, and we'll get to that later on. But the Keystone guy's back, but he's not wearing the Rick Rude shirt on Raw right now. God, Keystone's such a horrible beer too.
Yeah.
Anyway, congrats.
This is coming from a natty light junkie.
Exactly, and PBR. Although I did see Busch Light in the St. Mary's picture, so somebody did kind of upgrade. Anyway, but congrats to Daniel Bryan. He earned it. Kudos to the booker, whoever said, I think this guy deserves the shot, and got in whoever's head that he deserves to win it.
Now, the jury's still out, though, if they're actually going to let him win, or if he will be the first guy to lose it.
Right. Obviously, everybody's won it. Obviously, there was a asterisk on 2007 because that one was won by Kennedy, but then he got hurt and they ended up giving it to Edge, and Edge ended up using it and beating Taker. But yeah, it's interesting to see. I don't think so. It's too late now for that. It's okay for him. You know what? If they're going to have him lose, you better make it good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you better not do something lame. You better do something good. And that's all I got to say.
And kind of in a nerd note, Daniel Bryan did make it seem like he was going to be the first guy to announce ahead of time. And, of course, in 2006, RVD announced ahead of time that he'd be challenging at One Night Stand. So.
Right, exactly. Yep.
All
and
right,
actually, Kennedy said, too, that he was going to wait till WrestleMania.
Yep.
In Tampa, in Orlando, too. But, nobody believed it then either.
Especially our boy Jordan Duncan. He was, I'll give him a call out on that. He was definitely against, he said from day one that Kennedy would not make it to WrestleMania and challenge for the title.
He barely made it to the end of the month.
Yeah.
But anyway, great opener, sounds like. I saw pieces of that match.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to seeing the whole thing. But kudos congrats to Daniel Bryan. I'm looking forward to that, to see how that goes.
All right, so after that, we saw Vince McMahon and Johnny Ace arrive, talking about how they're going to have the last-ditch negotiations with CM Punk. Of course, Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis. But, right away, it's cool seeing him on screen, knowing that they were going to continue to play up and make him a character. And he's actually kind of a good, when you looked at him, he was kind of good if in that 2011 version of the Stooge role.
Yeah, I felt that when I was watching Raw. He was a better-looking Jerry Briscoe.
So, and I think what was I saying? He looked like the love child of... I can't remember the two. It was JBL and someone else we were saying. I can't remember who it was.
He did look kind of unusual.
Yeah.
He does not look like Animal.
No, definitely not.
You can't believe that they're actually in the same family, but they just kind of talk the same. But
I guess the reason he was out there is because Vince has been told at this point he's not really allowed to take bumps or do anything physical due to his advanced age and brittleness. I'm sure. So he's been warned not to really take bumps anymore. So that's why Laurinaitis was involved here. Next match, just a 5-minute match. Kelly defending her title against Brie Bella. Kelly won. Really nothing going on there just to get that title on the show. So we'll move along quickly. Next up was a match I was actually kind of looking forward to, just because I'm a Haas fan, and that was Big Show and Mark Henry. Both guys been working hard lately. Big Show's really settled into that, place where he's just, he's a big man, but he knows how to work a big man style effectively. Whether as a face or a heel, and he works hard. So I don't mind watching him, and Mark Henry's really been on a great roll. I was looking forward to this, and I had a feeling they'd keep it short. And they did. It was a decent enough match. Henry would win with 3 splashes on Big Show after a World's Strongest Slam, and then he crushed Show's leg as well. So he put him pretty much on the shelf. He Pillmanized it with a splash, which is pretty cool. Locked the chair on Show's ankle and splashed it from the ropes. So that was pretty neat. Show got wrapped up. EMT came out and dragged him out. So, and of course, the Mark Henry murder train would continue the next week on this week on SmackDown. He did the same thing to Kane, putting Kane out of action. And now they've said that Kane is going to be out. They said on Duty.com, I think it's like 4 to 6 months or something like that. I think he's out. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm guessing he must have had a real injury, some kind of nagging issue going on. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I would think so. But I'm actually very happy. Getting back to Mark Henry for a minute, I actually was very impressed with him as well. Leading into this match, as much as we have, and if you read our past pay-per-view reviews, we've given this guy a boatload of shit, and a lot of times he deserved it. But the last 3 years. He has been awesome.
Yeah, he really has been.
He really has known what his role finally is, and has definitely stepped up to the fore. Whatever's been given to him, he's gone full bore on. So I applaud Mark Henry, the man who's called the Silverback and Matt Rotella didn't know why. So, but anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing him on. I mean, he's a good guy to feud with in the title picture. It's one thing I actually still like about the structure of the SmackDown roster is everybody can do something anywhere on the card. I mean, you got a lot of guys that could be legitimate, in main event title feuds. And that's good because I think you're going to need some variety on that show. We'll get more into that as we move along over the next few weeks. But there's a lot of variety on SmackDown that's good for the roster for the card. But and I think Mark Henry's a guy they'll really pay attention to.
Yeah, and he's good for if they want to feud him with Zeke or feud him even with a little bit with Orton. Still, there's guys that he can feud with, and they're really doing a great job just having him come out, wrestle short matches, and injure guys. And that's the recipe for a successful monster heel. So they're doing it.
Right.
Take out guys like Show and Kane. All right, so moving along there. Next up was the Raw Money in the Bank. Of course, the show was kind of moving along a little bit quickly at this point. The matches were long, but you knew that they were saving a lot of time for the main event. Del Rio, Kofi, Miz, A-Ride, R-Truth, Swagger, Bourne, and Mysterio. Heading in, I think we both picked Del Rio, right?
Yes, we both picked Del Rio. And that was almost a foregone conclusion. I mean, well, maybe not. Nothing's a foregone conclusion, it seems like now, which is a good thing. But...
Well, heading into the show, a lot of people, and actually reports came out later that the original plan was for him to win this match and then cash in at the end of the night on the winner of the main event. So, of course, it looked like they were going to go that way, but we'll see what happens in a few minutes. They redid kind of the injury angle from earlier with Miz landing funny on his leg, and then he left the match, but he would come back, unlike Sin Cara. And he's actually been selling that now for the last 2 weeks on Raw. So I don't know if they're doing it... do you think this has made the start of a Miz face turn, kind of doing like the sympathy thing?
Well, if they are, then they may want to just listening to the first 15 minutes of Raw before we started recording. Then Lawler needs to kind of lay off them because he's really been getting in Cole's face about it still. And if you really want to kind of turn the crowd, you may want to kind of ease up on that. So. But I don't know. I just think he's too good of an asshole. I don't think it's I don't think it's time yet. If they were really down on heels, which really they're not,
Well, this could be a way for someone to turn heel as well to take his place. Maybe they attack his leg and he merces. He tries to fight back, and the guy, whoever's turning on him, kind of like the Steve Brett thing at 13, kind of.
Right. Yeah, so we'll see how. I'm curious to see where that would go, but I really don't think Miz is going to switch at the moment. He's just too good of a heel.
It just seems weird that they're having him almost do this, especially with the tournament the next night. How they kind of valiantly had him fight his way through it on his leg. I don't know. Just kind of had to feel like they're trying to build sympathy for him.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. I'm curious to see what'll happen. I like him as a heel right now, but if they may have long-term plans. Heading into WrestleMania, maybe it all depends on what happens with Rock and Cena because they wanted to kind of put him into the mix, not into that match, but maybe into that storyline. We'll have to see what happens. They got a lot of wiggle room right now, and but I think right now it's best to keep Miz a heel. That's just my personal opinion.
All right, now I know on these shows we usually tape these during Raw, but Raw usually is very antiseptic and we don't have much going on.
Yeah.
But we are going to try and break in tonight whenever something big seems to be about to occur. And just watching that last segment, and I was notified by our guy kind of watching, keeping us posted, that Triple H is going to be announcing a major return to the WWE next. So we will see who that is. There's a rumor that it may be Kevin Nash, and of course, by the time you listen to this, you will already know. But
yeah, well, and I'll tell you something right now, Sanchez and everybody else, it's not going to be Jim Duggan. Okay, my guy will not do that to me. So.
Well, I'm guessing the way they're teasing it, if he did just kind of tease it now before that break, is they want people to think it's going to be Punk. That's what I'm thinking, and it won't be yet. So
yeah,
I wonder if Triple H will kind of bring guys back maybe every week, and then until it is finally Punk, something like that.
Well, I'd love to see if it's Nash. Why not? Another guy that you put on SmackDown. I really think SmackDown needs as many stars and roster heavy guys as star talent heavy guys as possible. Now, before everyone goes on this whole no, you don't want Nash, the guy's not gonna have any booking power. He's gonna he's gonna do what he's told.
Honestly, though, I think maybe he should have some booking power. Things get out of control in WCW, but I think at this point in his career, I think he'd be pretty good on the booking team. And he, if anyone has On Demand, Classics On Demand, they have a new roundtable up where they talk about the NWO, and he's on it, and he was really good on that show.
Yes, I saw the back of his head that day. He was walking down the hall, and I was walking out of my desk into the area where the elevators were, and I saw him walking.
I don't need to break out LL Cool J again, do you? Seeing the back of Nash's head.
No, I didn't know. I wasn't yearning for those beautiful brown locks. But
okay.
Anyway, announcement was just made on Raw that CeeLo Green, the FU song, will be performing at SummerSlam. So
yes. That song actually got a pretty big pop at my party this weekend.
Ah, that's a good song. And speaking of the KOK,
yes,
he is coming out right now. So
so we will keep you posted as this goes on, what is happening. So just kind of getting back to the Raw Money in the Bank, one of the more intriguing moments in my eyes came when Del Rio was actually on the verge of winning, and Mysterio climbed the ladder and stopped him, and the crowd booed the shit out of Mysterio. I mean, really bad. Yeah, he got really bad. Miz got a big pop when he hobbled back to the ring. But Ray, yeah, he got booed big time. And then in probably the spot itself of the night, not counting the main event stuff,
right.
Ray was about to grab the belt, but Del Rio ripped his mask off. So Ray had to cover his face, and then Del Rio kicked him off the ladder and grabbed the briefcase. So it was pretty innovative spot. I like that.
Yeah, I read that. I haven't seen any of this match. So I'm looking forward to watching it. Was it longer or shorter than the SmackDown? You said the SmackDown was
shorter.
What, 24 minutes?
Yeah, 24. This was just under 16. SmackDown was better, but Raw was, it was good as well. But SmackDown was definitely a little more high spotty and a little more wild. The Raw one is a little bit more of a clusterfuck. But
and plus the aura of unpredictability in the SmackDown. I think everybody really knew that.
Yeah.
I think everybody had a good feeling Del Rio was going to win this one, so it kind of took the starch out of it. As the SmackDown one just had this wide open cachet of guys. So.
Yep.
It's funny because I say, we've said this in past podcasts, and I've said this on my old radio show, that I always go back and forth with Ray. Sometimes I'm in the mood for him, other times I'm not in the mood for him. I'm okay with him right now, but now do I really want him to be, well, we did mention earlier that he did win the tournament earlier in the night and won the WWE Championship from The Miz in the tournament. Do I like that? I don't know. But who knows if he'll even hold it. Obviously, the KOK is in the ring right now, so who knows what the hell will happen when this show's over. But
and more speculation going on. I guess they're saying it's one of the biggest names in WWE history, so some speculation maybe it's The Undertaker. Well, unless that picture is real, I don't know if it's him.
Yeah, we'll talk more later. We'll talk later on in the show about this picture we saw of Taker. He looked like Art Carney on the fucking honeymooners.
Wow, talk about dating yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to. The hat did it for me.
He did look like him, though. You're right.
Even though he weighed 110 pounds. We'll get to the picture later. But anyway, Del Rio wins, and he almost cashed it in earlier tonight. But obviously, even though Daniel Bryan, I think, will be the SmackDown half will be the one that gets held, and Bryan did say it, he will hold it till WrestleMania. Curious to see when Del Rio cashes this in.
Yes.
Because
he's definitely let's get to that later too, because that plays a role in the main event. So
right, exactly.
Next up was the never-ending feud, but the great feud between Randy Orton and Christian. Once again, title on the line, Christian getting another title shot, and of course the rule was this time if Orton got DQ'd, he would lose the title to Christian.
Yes.
So this match was actually very, very good. It was 12 minutes, and the whole match was based on Christian trying to get Orton to lose his cool and get disqualified. So that was the whole strategy and psychology behind the match, and it was really well done. And I've been accused, especially earlier today, of being someone who gets upset about DQ finishes. When they're like this and it makes sense, I love it. And that is exactly what happened. Orton was on the verge of defeating Christian. Christian spit the nastiest loogie since Shawn Michaels... Bret Hart spit on Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam. Yep. Or spit on Vince McMahon as well. Christian just hocked one right in Orton's mouth. And Orton just snapped and kicked Christian in the balls and got DQ'd. So Christian won the title by DQ. Orton snapped and then gave him an RKO on the unbreakable table. The Spanish table did not break. Orton started to leave, turned around, ran back, and put him through it again. So it was really cool. Orton, it was great with the whole snapping thing. Really looked like he was off his rocker, pissed off. And Christian, a great smarmy heel champion now. So really good stuff there.
Yes, and it's I've said all along, and I said it on our half year report that this was one of my favorite feuds of the year because every match has been great, and I'm looking forward. I haven't seen anything. I've seen clips on the SmackDown commercials, but I haven't seen that match. But it's got to be as good as the others. I mean, those two just have great chemistry. Again, it's not often that Orton faces a guy who's got his similar body build, so they both have the same kind of move set and chemistry. And good kudos to Christian. He's he's kind of back to being the CLB.
Yeah. Yep.
With a main event edge.
Yes.
And no pun intended.
And Orton's really been working his ass off too. I agree with that. So, it's really been good all around. And actually, I'm going to keep pimping this episode of SmackDown for you and for everyone. I'm always a big fan of when the world champion defends on TV in a hard fought match and gets a clean win. And he fought Ezekiel Jackson this week, and it was actually a really good match. And Christian, got the win with his finisher, and I think that just helps put over both guys.
Yeah, and I think that I think this might be the moment where Orton turns the corner and finally becomes the new Steve Austin, because this is kind of how Steve was created in 1997 or late '96. Kind of similar, just a guy who just flipped out. Maybe not as charismatic, but it is Orton, and he is the Viper, and he is the apex predator. But this might be a good moment for him. So I think it's a good move.
I just want to break in quick. Triple H announced that Rey Mysterio is defending against John Cena later tonight. And he's now bringing back the big announcement. Let's see who it is. The crowd calling for CM Punk.
Oh,
and it is JR.
JR is back. Oh, Cole must love that. This is great. Well, Triple H was always a big fan of JR, and I'm telling you, you are going to see this. I think is a Triple H backstage decision. We all know how much Vince jerks him around over the last 17 years. This is Triple H's call right here.
You know what, too? It's almost a shrewd move of them to have dicked the fans around in the end, kind of dicked us around the last few years, because now Triple H can really get himself over as a face, just making all these simple moves.
Yes. Yep. Considering Triple H broke his arm in 1999. So.
Yes. As long as Kane doesn't light him on fire again.
Yes. Or Foley doesn't flip out on him and pull his hair out when he comes back.
So that's it. JR is officially back. I'll be curious. I wonder if this is maybe the way they get Foley back, and May Hunter brings him in as GM.
Wouldn't surprise me. But does this now mean that Cole has been demoted to...
I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they do a 3-man booth and just have Cole do the heel comment, because he's basically the heel play-by-play guy the heel color guy on SmackDown. With Booker's kind of like King, and then they have Josh Matthews as the play-by-play guy. So Cole's kind of in that third role anyway. So they might just do that and have JR, be the main play-by-play guy and do the 3-man booth. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't see them taking Cole off Raw, but who knows? He might quit right now. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I haven't been a big fan of Lawler's commentating over the last couple months, so maybe he's always been good with JR. So maybe this helps or doesn't help, but Triple H may fire him right now or pedigree him. Who knows? But
looks like he's going to quit. So,
but anyway, getting back to Orton, I think this is a big moment for him, and because it's a changing of his character even more. It was one thing to be a cool, calm, and collective apex predator. Now he's flipped his lid, and it'd be fun to see. I guess you were telling me that this street fight he had with Kane this past Friday was phenomenal.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna say phenomenal. It was very, very good.
Okay,
very, very good.
So I finally remembered now. So I do have SmackDown DVR now.
I would go back if you can find this one on YouTube, or I don't know if they still do them on Hulu or WWE.com.
Yeah, I'll check Hulu. I think Hulu still puts them up.
Yeah, check it out, because it was a really a good episode. I really enjoyed it. They're in a good spot right now. It's funny because usually it's post-Mania when you hit this hot streak, or even Rumble to Mania, but this year it seems to be this now, heading into SummerSlam, that they really seem to be on fire.
Yeah, and it's funny because historically, just like the February pay-per-view, the July pay-per-view usually is mediocre and kind of a a gap to bridge to the big show, and we've had some good July pay-per-views, Fully Loaded 2000, Vengeance 2003. We've had some pretty good July pay-per-views, but so far this one has set a pretty high bar, and we still got a couple matches left. So,
but one match left actually.
One match left. So I say we definitely pay attention to Orton on SmackDown, because I think this might be a corner turn for him in terms of his character, and I think it's a big move for him, and I think it was a shrewd move to kind of shake up the SmackDown roster a little bit in terms of characters.
So
I'm trying to read Cole's captioning. It's something about money dripping off lips. I don't know what's going on here in this rant, but it's hilarious.
Okay, so back to Money in the Bank, of course, and this brings us to the main event that the crowd and everyone else was there to see. John Cena defending his WWE Heavyweight title against CM Punk, the man whose contract was expiring at midnight that night. In the audience right away, it started to leak on Twitter early in the show, but it was pretty much confirmed when Punk was standing in front of them, and that was Colt Cabana and Ace Steel standing at ringside, and we'd see them kind of pop up throughout the match whenever they'd head that way. The crowd just off the hook insane for all of this match, starting with the introductions. Cena, as always in these situations, played the heel role, tremendously. Punk really played into the face role. They actually kind of worked the match that way a little bit as well. Where Punk would kind of, be the face in peril a little bit. And then a lot of trading back and forth, though. There wasn't a lot of long heat segments, which was good.
Right.
The match itself went 33 minutes. And, of course, the whole thing combined was probably closer to 40. So,
wow.
Really, really a classic, classic match even on that level. Now, there were some botches throughout that people were kind of complaining about. That didn't bother me here because I thought it kind of fit this whole match. The matches aren't always meant to be smooth acrobatic affairs. You know what I mean?
Right.
In a match like this was a lot of energy and a lot of anger and a lot of sentiment behind it. It's okay to me to be a little sloppy. You know what I mean? And kind of hard hitting. And that's really what we saw here. A lot of near falls, especially down the stretch. There was some great near falls on STF or near submissions on an STF and a couple of near falls on AAs. One really close one. And then in one of the best spots, Punk went to the Anaconda Vice, which is really cool.
Yes, I wish he'd use it more. I hope he does. That
was cool. And then Cena broke that and actually picked him up into the AA for a almost 3 there. So that was a cool spot. Punk hit a GTS at that point. Cena fell to the floor. Punk starts freaking out that Cena's on the outside. He's trying to get him back in. And that's when Vince and Johnny Ace came out and they're staring at Punk. Punk gets back, or Cena gets back to the ring and gets Punk in the STF, and Vince starts immediately calling for the bell. And Johnny Ace goes to run over to ring, call for the bell. Cena slides out of the ring and just decks Johnny Ace to a huge pop, knocks him out cold on the floor. He comes back in, turns around, Punk hits the GTS and shocks the world, wins the world title at 33 minutes. So the crowd heat was insane. The finish was great. You had the Montreal tease. You had a lot of pinfall teases. And then, of course, you get the payoff with the decking of Johnny Ace at ringside, which is cool. Vince immediately calls for Alberto Del Rio to come out, just like everyone had feared that Del Rio was going to come down and win the title. But in a nice twist, as soon as he gets up into the ring, slides in, Punk just kicks him in the side of the face. Del Rio drops the briefcase, and drops the briefcase, falls down. Punk grabs the belt, runs off. Before he does, he sits on the barricade and blows a kiss to Vince, and then leaves through the crowd as Vince sits there and stews. So awesome ending to the pay-per-view. Tremendous stuff. I can't remember a time where I was like buzzing for so long after the show, and even the next day. I had a hard time going to bed Sunday night, honestly. I was like so fired up after that show. So really good.
I just finished. This was the one night. For those that have been on cruises before, there's usually at least one. It depends on the length. There's one, maybe two formal nights, and the captain comes out and does his thing. So that was Sunday night. So I had a suit on, and I had a couple cocktails. So I go up to the to the area on the boat where you can go on the internet, and I'm like, I got to find out what's going on here. I got as far as Christian, and then Lords of Pain was actually going halfway down to the Punk match, and I didn't know who won, and I'm like banging on the desk. I'm like, I want to know who Punk won. I got people looking at me. It was really funny. I was starting to flip out, but I found out the next morning. I went on, and then I got your text, and there's no other reason for them not to do it this way. Mm-hmm. There really was no other reason for them not to do it this way. If you had Cena win and Punk just left, you would have. I don't think you and I would be having this. Well, we would be doing a podcast. We'd be talking about God knows what. Maybe we'd be doing 2 vintage vaults this week. Who knows? But this was the only way to do it. And one thing about CM Punk, the guy's a loyalist. He's loyal. And yep. He knows where his bread's buttered now. He is a WWE superstar. And I'll tell you something. 5 years ago, I never thought I'd utter those words out of my mouth. Even when he debuted in ECW, I thought, he's just going to be, and they'll find a way to screw him over or something. Well, I'll tell you something. He has really earned his stripes in this company. And he has played his dues. He got his balls busted by Taker with the whole not dressing when you're out of the ring thing and all this other shit. And But in the end, he's done everything that he has been told to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he has earned this chance to kind of set himself free. And Cena, to Cena's credit, and we'll get more into him when we talk about Raw the next night, Cena, to his credit, is actually growing on me as a character again, because he's pretty much saying, look, I know I wear goofy clothes, I know my shirts are ugly, but you know what? I'm going to do this right. And when we get to Raw, I love the way, I don't know if he wrote his promo this way or if somebody told him to, but I loved his promo on Monday night. But we'll get to the Raw in a minute. This is the one match of the show that I actually did watch all of. Somebody put the whole match on the pay-per-view on YouTube, and I thought it was awesome. I just love watching Punk wrestle. He's probably become my new favorite in-ring guy, because obviously my number one guy is wearing a suit right now, and my number two guy had to retire with a bad neck. So Punk is my guy now, and in terms of in-ring. And I don't think I've ever heard a better analogy of the way he wrestles a match than you did many times here on this podcast and in our conversations, that he is a modern day Bret Hart.
Yep.
Everything is, I've said this before, there's between Bret and Shawn. Shawn was a fly by the seat of his pants wrestler. Bret was very formulaic. Punk is very formulaic, but not as, we used to goof about Bret because Bret would be so, the 5 moves of doom, as Scott Keith used to say. Punk's not like that. Punk's not predictable in the way he wrestles, but he does have a plan in his head.
Yeah.
He does have a formula.
Everything makes sense.
Exactly. No wasted motion. They used to say that about Benoit, too. And he just knows how to dictate a match, and it doesn't matter what kind of wrestler he is, of opponent he has. And I'm looking forward to a long-term feud with Cena somewhere down the line, because they do click in the ring together. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of this. Well, we're going to talk about Raw in a minute last week, but...
And now let me ask you this, because we talked about this earlier today, a little bit on the phone. Actually, let me recap Punk's post antics first, and then I want to pose this question.
Okay.
After the show, he was tweeting pictures going around the city with Cabana and Ace Steel with various fans holding the title up and celebrating, almost like a Stanley Cup celebration. And that was kind of cool. And then the next day, he was tweeting that he wasn't going to be at Raw because he was going to be at the Cubs game, and he was sending pictures in, him and Colt at the Cubs and Phillies game. All kinds of stuff like that. So do you see CM Punk being the next game changer? The original one, Hulk Hogan, and just to break in again, John Morrison has returned. Triple H brought him back. He's having a stare down with Truth. I'm guessing they're going to have this at SummerSlam. Since
did he lose weight?
LA. Morrison? No.
No, I guess he looks the same. He looks a little smaller than he did when we last saw him, but actually he looks like a really weird looking porn star. He looks weird with jeans and no shirt on. It looks very strange, but
well, it kind of makes sense since Molina was back on TV tonight as well.
That's true. It's good to see Morrison back too.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, my point. The first one obviously was Hulk Hogan, kind of changed the game in the mid '80s with the Rock and Wrestling stuff. Then you had Steve Austin changing things up in 97, 98, ushering in the Attitude Era and the kind of anti-establishment, flipping the heel face rolls around. Is Punk the new guy that's going to usher in a new hot boom period? This kind of worked shoot, legit wrestling, wrestling is back kind of guy, working storylines on the internet through Twitter, through social media, kind of garnering popularity that way. Kind of bringing all these facets together and kind of working this blur the line kind of angles where you're kind of talking reality, but it fits within the storyline. And, where they listen to the crowd, they kind of go with that, and a little more of a realistic style, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, I've said this before on this podcast, and I like doing it because it's one of the few times I get to tug at your heartstrings. But CM Punk has become the 2011 Brian Pillman.
Mm-hmm.
And he now just absolutely gets everybody going, and you don't know where he's coming from. Just imagine if Pillman had Twitter, although this times I don't know.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, imagine if Pillman was.
If Pillman had Twitter, he'd be ridiculous. Of course, he may not be able to type half the stuff because he'd be so hyped. Who knows if he even could use the cell phone? But if Pillman had Twitter, could you imagine what would have happened?
Yes,
I mean, it just would have been awesome, and that's what I think. And this is, take this in the spirit's intended. I'm not insulting him because of his, because he was injured, but Punk has become Pillman who could wrestle.
Right.
And this isn't because Pillman had no ability. It's because by 1997, Pillman had the body of a 50-year-old.
Yeah.
Broken down ankles, bad knees, bad hips, and obviously a painkiller problem. But Pillman got it. And I'll pump the guy up. And again, I was not as big a fan as obviously you were. I didn't dislike him, but it was never a guy that I latched onto. But he got it, and I think he got it more than anybody in the whole Monday Night Wars even knew. I think he got it more than Vince. I think he got it more than Bischoff or any of these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
He got how to get in a fan's head. And Punk now knows how to get in a fan's head. And a guy like Punk is going to make liking wrestling fun again.
And cool.
Cool. Well, the reason I said cool is because, yes, it is cool. But my point of being fun is because it's going to be like that. You can comfortably bring back kayfabe without being a dork.
Yep.
And because you're not going to know where the hell he's coming from.
Right.
And I think that's amazing right now. And all of the parties have to work together for this whole thing to work. And again, we'll get more to that when we talk about Raw, last week's Raw. But all the pieces have to be in place for it to work perfectly. And Punk is the puppet master. He is. Mm-hmm. He's not the oh God, I had it in my head. You had forgotten it the last time you did it. The
master puppeteer
in the state of fools. Yeah, he's not a master puppeteer in the
dreams.
I know, master puppeteer on the stage of fools. He's not quite there yet, but he could be in this storyline. And I did catch the ending of Vince looking just dumbfounded, and Punk running off. It was just awesome. It was absolutely awesome. A great end to what looked like top to bottom the best secondary pay-per-view probably since Vengeance 2003. To be honest with you, I don't think there's been a good secondary pay-per-view since.
Vengeance 05.
That was Vengeance 05. All right, maybe the best July pay-per-view. But yeah, Vengeance 05 was
Vengeance
good.
05 though was kind of, I'll say this, it was kind of unfairly loaded, where they had both brands really jacked up on the show, 2 title matches.
Exactly. You had a great Hell in a Cell.
This might be, I'll say this might be the best. I'm trying to think of the way to say it. Secondary pay-per-view that was carried by a particular guy in a particular match. Does that make sense? Maybe since that time? Like, not sold on the strength of a card, kind of sold on a marquee matchup.
Right. I think I know where you're coming from. Yeah. Where a secondary pay-per-view that was hyped by one thing actually delivered.
Yeah, I mean, you have plenty in the Attitude Era and stuff like that, like, the Hell in a Cells and shit like that. But, over the last few years, well, it's hard to say. I don't know. It's maybe the Money in the Bank concept, so I'm not sure. Let's put it this way. It was an awesome show. And of course, a lot of people were wondering what would they be able to keep that momentum up going into Raw? Would Punk be stripped of his title? Is he staying? Is he going? Should Punk be on? There's a lot of debate. Should he be on? Should he be off? I personally believed he should not show up on Raw. Of course, there's a lot of wondering if Cena was going to show up because he was supposed to be fired. I did think Cena should be on because I thought it made sense. I also thought for sure that... what the hell is going on now?
Michael Cole is actually dressed in Triple H's gear.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, he's actually trying to mock it too. Oh, good lord. This is tough to watch. Anyway,
at least he's using King of Kings, apparently. So
is he? Okay. All right. I have it on mute, so I don't know. But
that was your theme tonight, though.
Yes, it was, and obviously I represented better than Creamy Boy here does. But anyway, yeah, Raw was definitely an enigma. Raw, I knew I was excited about because I knew I was going to get it. I was going to have it when I got home because obviously I DVR it every week. So I knew that I was looking forward to because I knew I was going to have it when I got home. So I was hoping that Raw would deliver. Raw would deliver the kind of show that we were hoping for coming off a really hot pay-per-view.
And now 2 things. First, just to break in, the Rangers are beating the Twins 18-1 in the 6th inning right now.
How low is Ron Gardenhire fallen?
Well, actually, they were coming on. They were only like 5 out, but now they're, I don't know, having a rough night.
Yeah, wow, that's unpleasant.
But secondly, now, where did you stand? I know it's kind of hindsight at this point, but did you think Punk should or should not be on last week's show? Coming off that
No, in fact, I think if they were going to have him on, they should have had him outside, wearing Bear stuff, carrying the belt around, drinking. Him and Colt and Ace Steel hanging out in the car, or at a bar in town. I don't mind him on the show. I just didn't want him in the building. No.
Yeah. Wow,
I didn't mind him on
Ryder
camera.
getting some airtime.
Look at this. See? The KOK right there.
Yep.
All right. So now the internet can be happy.
Yep.
So anyway, I do like the T-shirt though. It's pretty good. And guess what? He's actually getting face pops.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's definitely, if they ever decide to actually finally use him, he'll definitely be over. All right. So quickly, let's get through Raw. Vince comes out to start the show. Says that Punk's an ingrate, walked out on his fans, and they'll never. The WWE is bigger than any individual guy. So that's it. They're gonna crown a new champion tonight. 8-man tournament. And honestly, the whole show was pretty much all wrestling. There wasn't too many promos, wasn't too many angles.
Nope. Well, that also helps when you have a tournament too.
Yeah, it's
you have to get a lot of matches in.
Just straight up matches. Cena tweeted during the day that he had been fired, and he was apologizing to Rock about it as well. So that was kind of an ongoing thread. But other than that
was funny.
Yeah,
I kind of enjoyed that.
Apparently, JR is putting Zack Ryder over big time on commentary right now.
Good. He should be.
And it looks like he's going to quickly squash Michael Cole. So there you go.
And he did. Yep, there he did.
Well, this is the beginning of a push for Zack, hopefully.
There you go. Maybe he'll get a little U.S. title action with Ziggler. Who knows?
All right. So the tournament started. First match was Miz and A-Rai, kind of carrying on their feud. Pretty good feud there. A pretty good match there. Outside of the awful Texas Cloverleaf attempt by A-Rai, which was pretty awful.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I watched it. It was kind of like Rock's old sharpshooters in the early 2000s that was pretty miserable.
Yes,
this was pretty lousy too.
It was not good. The story there, of course, was Miz's leg being injured and A-Rai trying to take advantage of it. So,
yeah. On a side question, is this the first TV singles match between Ray and Cena tonight? Have they ever wrestled?
Let's get our boy the Sanchez. He's got the database.
Yeah, he's got the fucking Bible of stats. So should ask him. I just might think that might be the first time we've ever seen him in a match. Interesting.
Okay, so Miz advances just under 5 minutes. Moving on to the tournament. In the tournament, next up was R-Truth and Jack Swagger. Kind of interesting heel match. Whatever what you'd expect, I guess. Truth wins in 4 minutes. None of these first round matches are very long, but they were all pretty effective.
No, I enjoyed the way that it was laid out there, and something weird happened with me because I'm watching Raw and something happened on my TV. It actually worked out because for some reason midway through, it actually skipped about 20 minutes, and I went from the end of the Ray Del Rio match, right? Del Rio faced Kofi.
Yeah.
Who did Ray face in the first round?
We'll get there in a second.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Truth advances, defeats Jack Swagger.
Right.
Kind of, sloppy, but whatever, effective.
Right. Yeah.
Next match is Del Rio and Kofi, and this was kind of every tournament in wrestling usually has the match that'll swing things depending on the result. You figure it can go one way or the other. This was kind of that match I thought of this tournament. If Kofi wins, things maybe go a different way, and maybe he's the guy that comes out of it. Del Rio wins, things maybe go a different way.
Right.
And kind of a shocker, but Kofi did defeat Del Rio coming off his big Money in the Bank win at 5 minutes. Kind of caught him off guard with a roll-up. So surprising, but Alberto didn't really need to win it.
No, that's why I honestly wasn't surprised that he lost because he doesn't really need this. So I thought it was just a good win for Kofi, and it didn't surprise me that he lost. I didn't think it was that big a deal. That's my opinion, but.
All right. So and the final match of first round was Ray and Dolph Ziggler.
Ziggler, that's right. Okay. So yeah, about halfway through. All right, so continue on with the tournament, and I'll let you know what happened to my.
Okay. So another match was just about 5 minutes, and they were all pretty much 5 minutes for the first round. So not long enough to build, but long enough to kind of get the point across. Ray went to the top rope splash. So they updated remaining brackets: Ray and R-Truth, and Kofi and Miz. And then we had the huge diva team match with both sides. It was only a minute long. Nothing special going on there.
Now.
Next up, we got to the semifinals, Kofi and The Miz. This match, again, Miz selling the leg, but not really much time put into it, only 4 minutes. And Miz gets the win to advance. So Kofi eliminated there. And then Ray and R-Truth, actually probably pretty much the longest match of the night, maybe the best match of the night. Ray defeated Truth in 12 minutes, or 12:48, so just under 13 minutes. So decent match here. So Ray and Miz were set up for the finals. We went to break. Ray was in the ring when they came back. But before Miz came out, Vince came out in his swank pink jacket that he had on last week.
Yeah, what was that? It wasn't even pink. It was like light cranberry or something, or I don't know. It was like plum colored. It was very strange.
Yeah, it was definitely swank.
Yeah.
And of course, he had the epic botch where he called the title the WWF title, which was pretty funny.
He did do that. Yeah. All right, I thought I was hearing things. He did say WWF, didn't he?
Yeah, he fucked
it up.
All right,
good. I'm not good. I'm glad I wasn't the only one. I wasn't crazy. I thought he said WWF. I thought maybe it was just a flop on the mic or something. But all right, so good. I'm glad you said that because I'm not crazy then. I thought he said WWF. But anyway, quickly before you go on to that part, Raw's usually if you count, they usually go over obviously, and usually the Raw on my DirecTV DVR, it's usually 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yep.
Now, when I hit play on my DVR, it was only an hour and 43 minutes.
And
I went, oh, no. Like, I thought something cut or I lost power. And I'm like, I missed the end? Son of a bit. What happened was, Raw, I don't know if it was USA or I don't know what the hell happened. Right as Ray pinned Ziegler. Not Ziegler. Ray pinned Ziegler. It went to commercial, came back, and it was halfway through the Ray Truth match. So I lost like whatever 15 minutes in the middle. It was very, very strange.
Wow, there's only 15 minutes. You missed the best 15 minutes you could have missed.
Yeah, I missed Ray and I missed Miz and Kofi. So
nothing special. Of course, what we didn't mention before because he's on the screen right now is Ricardo Rodriguez returned.
Yes, Toad Boy's back. Your buddy. Toad
very
Boy's
excited. Very excited.
Yes, let's see what's he driving tonight. Looks like a Bentley. Looks like an old school Bentley tonight. Yeah, because he's driving on the British car. Because he's driving on the passenger side. No, it's a Rolls. I'm sorry, it's a Rolls.
Yeah, very cool.
So nice car, black.
Okay, so let's get back to this. So Vince comes out, postpones the title match for the following week, which of course occurred tonight. Ray and Miz saying that he had more to talk about and weren't gonna have time for the title match. I liked this move. I think it helped, kind of build anticipation, build a rating for this week. Some people bitched it was a bait and switch. I didn't really care because they didn't announce that they were going to crown a new champion before the show, so you weren't buying a ticket to the show or paying for the show based on that fact. So I'm fine with it. It was something that was just an ongoing storyline through the show, and I kind of like that they were building to this week to have the title match. So Vince comes out, Ray leaves, they bring out John Cena. Cena says he knows what's coming, he's not going to fight and complain and bitch, and he doesn't want to be remembered as the guy who screwed CM Punk, like Vince is remembered for, or Shawn was remembered for the guy who screwed Brett.
See, I loved that part of the promo. Because think about it, that was actually a great way, as much as it happened anyway in 2006, for once, never, when you talk about the screw job, do you ever make Shawn out to be the victim. Right. And we know he's not. We know the whole story. Shawn knew about the whole thing. And actually, when that DVD comes out, that rumored Brett Shawn, because I watched some of the interview footage.
It's definitely not rumored. It's definitely coming.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. And I watched a lot of the interview footage because because it happened in my building. So I saw a lot of it. Obviously, Shawn is no innocent victim. But I mean, the way that Cena put it, you made Shawn Michaels carry the burden of Montreal for the rest of his career. And you think about it, you're like, yeah, I guess he did. Vince could have said, no, I don't like, or whatever. But I mean, that was actually good that he, for once, instead of just standing there looking like a doofus with snot jokes and poop jokes, Cena actually inserted some form of legitimate logic into his promo. And I love that.
Yep.
He gets points from me just for that part of the promo. That he actually added some legitimate logic. Like, I don't want to sit here and be the guy that screwed CM Punk. Like him or hate him, I don't want to be that scumbag that you turn Shawn Michaels into. Yep. I love the way he did that. Kudos to Cena or whoever, whether he did it or somebody else's idea. That was excellent. I know it's a small point, but that just hit me right that Cena just sounded so logical in coming up with that kind of the way that he worded that.
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to be Vince's patsy. Vince just wanted someone to take the fall for him. He wasn't going to do it. So Cena tells him, fine, that's whatever it is. Basically, he tells him he has 8 months now. He's going to find a new opponent for The Rock. Apologizes again for that. And of course, then he drops maybe the best line of the promo, or at least the one that got the best pop. When he says, if you're going to find me tonight, I'll just keep doing what I do. Maybe it'll be on someone else's TV show, brother. So a little subtle impact, hint there. That was kind of cool.
Yes.
So Cena, God, I'm sorry.
Even though there's no snowball's chance in hell of that ever happening, but
No.
but it was good to hear it anyway.
Not at all. So yeah, that was cool. That was a nice little
yes,
touch.
I agree.
So Cena starts to walk off. Vince stops him, but before he can talk anymore, your boy, The Game, his music hits. He comes out in a suit. Vince is happy to see him, but Triple H was noticeably kind of, a little bit shaken, a little bit confused looking.
Yep.
He said that they had a board of directors meeting this morning, and they were a little concerned about the situation, saying Vince was making some questionable decisions as of late. He talked about how Vince built the business and does what he does and has made everything great, but that he's starting to slip. And the board asked Triple H to come out here and say there's an injunction against him with a vote of no confidence. Vince was kind of laughing, but Triple H said the whole family agrees. And the board has now appointed someone to take over his day-to-day operations. And that's kind of where the crowd and everyone at home was kind of like, oh, I see what's going on. And Triple H announces that it's him who's now in charge. Cena's no longer fired. Triple H starts to cry, or well up a little bit. Vince gets officially relieved of his duties, and there's a big pop, and the crowd starts chanting, singing the goodbye song at that point. Triple H starts to break down, and then hits the line that maybe only he could make sound legitimate. I think anyone else probably would have sounded really stupid when he says, I love you, Pop.
I love you, Pop. Yeah.
And then he leaves. Vince is left alone in the ring, and it's kind of when the fans maybe realize, this is a little bit more real than we expected at first when we were chanting goodbye to Vince, and they kind of do an about face and start saying, thank you, Vince. And Vince also starts to kind of well up while he's in the ring, and just kind of stares out into the crowd as we go off the air. So, I'm a big tournament fan, but the tournament itself, a little bit lacking. I liked how it was all wrestling, but the last 15 to 20 minutes really turned the show around and made it one of the most memorable in wrestling. When you see the next Raw compilation DVD in 5 years, this will be a major piece of it. Yep. I'm sure.
Yep. Saying what you just said actually made it feel even more special to me because all the years that I've been a fan of his, and it's been almost 15 years now, and all the times I've had to defend him on boards, not just our board, bigelow34.proboards.com. On a side note, I find you and I are like the DX of our message board. We're going to slide that in mid-sentence, but it's true. It's a great message board. Please go to it.
Yep.
I've been defending this guy for eons, and everybody call me a shill, a sucker, or whatever, and all the 2003 Scott Steiner, Kevin Nash nonsense. But now I can finally feel happy to know that this guy truly does care about this business. Mm-hmm. And you just actually put it in better perspective than even I could when you said this might have been an actual passing of the torch.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you are kind of sad because, look, the antics over the last 4 years might have started to look a little antiquated and a little, kind of schlocky, with the limo blowing up and the money thing and the and the stage collapsing and all that other nonsense. But when it comes to brass tacks, it's Vince. He's the Godfather. He's like our Godfather. He's given us some. He's the reason, in a roundabout way, that we do this.
Yep.
And it does get you emotional, and that's what made last Monday unbelievable. And I was fortunate enough that I had a DVR, and I got to come home on Thursday, and I got to watch it, and it really did hit me. Not just because it's my guy's in charge, which is like waking up New Year's Eve from a bender and realizing your Christmas gifts under the tree. That's a good way to put that. I like that. But on camera, if we never see Vince again, I'm fine. And that's not going to happen. We'll see him again somewhere. But
I actually want to touch on the Triple H thing first, about your defense of him and everything. And
right.
Kind of where I stand, I guess, with Triple H has always been, I guess I just expected more from him a lot of the time because of how good he can be in his position. I think I was always more of disappointment than really hating him. You know what I mean? Like, he was so good in that 2000-2001 stretch, just putting on great match after great match. And then when he came back to that injury, you wanted him to be good, and he just couldn't get there. And then he started doing, a lot of all the stuff at the end of 2002 and into 2003. We're not going to get into it all, but and then once you knew he was really in power, once he was dating Steph and eventually marrying her, you just expect someone in that position with that, no pun intended, pedigree and history. You kind of expected more of him, and all we got was more of the same lame old, DX stuff that they brought back and recycled in 2006 and 2007, and I guess that was kind of my beef with him. He was like a disappointing child more than anything else. I never really hated him. I just expected better from him, and and maybe now he's finally achieving what he should have been, and maybe now is when he turns it around and shows, I am the man that can carry this company. I am the man that can give you the product you guys want.
And trust me, there were times where I was terribly disappointed in him, and the one. He did or said things that you're like, you know what, you're better than this. And the one I'll never forget, and I hate to think of it, it's one of, for me, my darker points of being a Triple H fan is when he made the horse face comment to Lillian. That was, I was never, that really bothered me, because that was unnecessary. You didn't have to do that.
He could have not said that comment and said something else instead.
Yeah.
Won the pie eating competition. Well, that didn't surprise me a bit, because Lou Albano is a big, fat, sloppy pig.
Could have said something like that instead.
Well, you know what? As much as I love the KOK, no one will ever deliver that line like Jesse did. So, no. But, it's funny. We were just talking about this, and Raw just now at the bottom of the screen says, go to WWE.com and relive some of Vince McMahon's greatest moments as chairman. It's like he's dead. It's almost scary.
Do you think this is it?
For him on camera?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I do. I could. It took me a minute to think about it, but yeah, because again, and I said this to you when we were planning the show earlier today. The limo blowing up, the stage collapsing, him getting beat up by the Nexus. Those were all such cheesy, schlocky things that were like, oh, that is so dumb. Last Monday night was not dumb at all. It was legit. It was kayfabe, of course, but at the same time, it was a passing of the torch. His daughter has to raise kids now. Now, she's probably still, Steph probably still does things behind the scenes, but this is the guy. This is your guy. This is Dusty. This is Flair. This is, oh God, I hope not Ole, but this is like George Scott and all those guys back in the day. He's got a role, he's Toots Mont now. I mean, he is the guy. And it's an incredible, and I think he's got the chutzpah to have the responsibility of such a big role.
Do you think Vince is also done backstage, or do you think this is just the starting of that?
I think Vince is not. Vince, like I said, Vince will die before he gives up any.
Because there is rumor that I've read some stuff actually more than I thought maybe he was stepping down. I don't know if I read it somewhere or I heard it somewhere that he basically has a whole day now where he sleeps. Which is something he never did. So, he seems like he's winding down a little bit. And I know Triple H has been shadowing him for a while.
Yes.
So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe this is the start of a slow, long-term transition.
Well, I think, ultimately, Triple H is going to be the one. And it's funny for me to say this because, obviously, there has always been a sibling rivalry there. But Triple H is going to be the one that brings back Shane.
I don't think... I don't think he will, and I don't think Shane wants to come back. And honestly, from stuff I've read about Shane and ideas he's had, we all liked Shane back in the day because everyone just kind of hated the on-screen Stephanie character.
Right.
Do you really think Shane's the best guy to be running the creative side?
No. I'm talking about the money.
Okay.
No, Shane is ready as Triple H and Stephanie will take Vince's role. Shane will ultimately take Linda's role.
I don't know, though, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more that like the board and the guys like that run the financial stuff.
Well, I think they'd like to see everything that matters be touched by blood. And I think ultimately, now right now Shane is happy probably doing what he's doing. He's doing some MMA stuff. He's handling some other business endeavors, the magic word endeavor. But
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. From stuff I've heard and read, I don't know if he's ever coming back. At least not for a long time.
I'm not saying he's coming back at the end of the year. I think sometime in the next 2 or 3 years, when Linda is ready to either, if she becomes governor of Connecticut, and trust me, we all want her, or becomes senator here in Connecticut. There's 2 actual positions coming up in the next few years that she could run for. But if she doesn't get either of them, she's eventually going to retire. Her and Vince obviously are going to go, off to the wild blue yonder. Maybe they'll go down to North Carolina or go down to Florida, and Vince can tan himself to his heart's content, look like shoe leather. But ultimately, there's very few non-McMahons that family trusts. Kevin Dunn, Basil DeVito, all those guys you see in all those DVDs. So maybe someone like that would ultimately run the money part of it, the financial part of it, but ultimately I think it will go to Shane because Shane was shadowing Linda for forever. Shane was the money side with Linda, and Stephanie was the creative side with Vince. That's how it always was, and that's how it was in the 2000s. And I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. That family is so tight. I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. I don't think. I'm sure Shane thinks his sister's a pain in the ass, and we all.
There's reportedly a lot of heat right now between Shane and Vince. Over the way Shane left.
But I read that they were hanging out at a Yankee game shortly after that. So I don't know. That only the inner sanctum knows for sure. So we're not going to sit here and speculate.
To me, if Shane comes back, I think it's because he completely failed at everything else. So I think that's the only way he comes back. But apparently he's part of some consortium that's working to get pay-per-view into China, which I guess reportedly would be a big deal since it's such a huge market. So if he's like on some kind of business, with that. I don't know. He might be so successful elsewhere that he doesn't ever want to come back.
Well, we'll see. That the company's not going to fold without him. But ultimately, when it comes to brass tacks, this is the McMahon family legacy, and I think that includes. I don't know, unless they wait 25 years for Aurora Rose to get out of college, who knows?
Possible.
But maybe she'll major in economics or something. I don't know. But ultimately, it's the family business. It'll always be a McMahon business, and I think ultimately Shane will come back to run the money part of it, the financials, not because let's be honest, and I don't want to totally go off the beaten path on this, but we all know, we don't want to say we all know, but we're pretty widely speculated that Linda's handled anything involving money. Mm-hmm. She has the meetings with the board of directors. She handles all that stuff. Yeah,
but does Shane have a lot of experience with that kind of stuff for a publicly traded company? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I just think it might be more of those guys that, the guy listed as a CFO or whatever else that really, now that they're a public company, it's not really a small family. 15 years ago, yeah, Shane probably was in line to run that end of it. But now that it's such a huge conglomerate, I don't know, honestly.
Yeah. It is a promo. We already have an awesome SmackDown because Triple H is going to be on SmackDown Friday. So it's already a better show. So already got something to look forward to Friday night, watching the promo. So Triple H will be on SmackDown Friday night. So,
and let me just get this to our.
Last time was on SmackDown 3 years ago, I guess.
I know, yeah, it's definitely been a while since. Well, he had that run. Yeah, when he had that run.
Yeah, he won in 2008. Yep.
So our stat nerd checked in for us and did some research, and Rey Mysterio and John Cena have had one televised match since 2002 when they both debuted with the company. They have tagged a couple times and were both involved in a couple of multi-man pay-per-view matches together.
Yeah, that I knew. That I knew they were in, Survivor Series matches and big tags, bragging rights, that kind of stuff. But singles?
So, one time, do you want to take a guess? It was on television.
I would say it is a Raw match. No, I mean, they haven't been on the same. What year was he on Raw? 2008?
Yeah, but it was only for what, like 2 months, and then he got hurt, and then he was gone.
Who, Ray? Was that it? Wasn't he feuding with JBL? I'll say 2008.
The only time Rey Mysterio and John Cena fought in a singles match on WWE television was the November 6th, 2003 SmackDown.
That was my other choice. That was my other guess because that was the only other time they were both on the same show. Was 2003 SmackDown and 2008 Raw. Although, no, they were both on SmackDown in 2004, I guess, too. So.
And because our stat boy here checked in with that, he also wanted me to pass along this joke. He said he cannot believe Triple H is working Tuesdays. Of course, channeling the great Paul Heyman. So.
Yes, exactly. Well, he is now. So, and Paul, you'll have to just, maybe they'll hire you. But getting back to what I was saying, Vince, in a lot of ways, in a smaller sense, and I've had this conversation with Dr. G, our good friend, a lot of times because he thinks this way as well. Paul Heyman could have used Linda in ECW because Vince doesn't. I'm not saying Vince doesn't look at the money. He obviously does, but he handles the actual product. Mm-hmm. Linda always handled the financials. That's always seemed to be the way it was. And if Heyman had a Linda, ECW might still be in business. Who the hell knows? But Vince is good to have a woman like Linda who he never had to worry about that kind of thing. And I'd like to think that in 5, 6, 7, almost 10 years from now, when Vince is, definitely not around, I'm not saying he's dead, but I mean, it won't be any day-to-day situation, that there is somebody that they could trust running the financials. It's not Kevin Dunn. He's creative.
I don't think it's run like that anymore, this company. I think maybe the creative stuff is, but I just think it's developed in such a huge conglomerate that it's just like any other company that was originally a family company that developed into a major. The Triple H and the family is always going to hold the majority of the stock, but they may not be the main people in charge of a lot of the financial decisions.
No, I have a feeling that Basil DeVito, who's been his, not his attorney, but like his.
Take a look at it like the Yankees. It's like, Hal and Hank and those guys, they make the decisions now. Steinbrenner always controlled everything. But now with him gone, George Steinbrenner gone, there's more of a team conglomerate, and there's all set, certain specific areas that handle all different kinds of things. And I think I picture this kind of being very similar to that.
Well, I agree with you on that, and they also have Jennifer Swindle, who they never wanted to. That was a very misogynistic family because George was an old school German who didn't let the women do anything except cook, and so I agree with you on that. I'm sure that there's, remember, as much as took a lot for Triple H over time to be trusted and allowed into this circle. I think from the money perspective, I think it's the same thing. So, we'll see. I'm sorry, I just can't see this place running for the next 50 years without Shane. I just can't. I'm not saying creatively he's not going to book anything, but just not seeing him in this company. Just seems weird.
We'll see.
But
definitely something we'll follow. So
yeah. Linda might need to get in here and kind of mediate the family intervention. But that last 15 minutes last Monday night, kind of to bring this back into focus, that last 15 minutes might have been the most emotional for me as a wrestling fan that didn't involve somebody dying. I didn't cry like when Eddie died or like when Owen died, but I tell you, I was choked up. Number one, because it was art imitating life for me, because Triple H is going to be the figurehead of creative in this company more than even Stephanie. Stephanie's got kids to raise, and Vince begrudgingly realizes it's time for me to
slow up at least.
Yeah, exactly. He's not going to walk away and he's not ready for that. He won't do that till he's dead. I agree with that, but it's time for me to trust some other people. And who else to trust than your son-in-law, who really understands what the fans want right now.
And I like that, he's bringing in already guys that he can surround himself with, for the developmental system and creative side. If the rumors are true that he's using guys like Undertaker, guys like Sean Waltman, Kevin Nash, in those roles, guys that were smart, that did grow up as fans, that know the business, that came up through the territory system, that worked that way. If they do want to kind of apply that kind of mentality to the business. He's bringing in, and he has a cachet of guys, at his fingertips. And even eventually, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Shawn Michaels come back in some kind of trainer role or some kind of agent role, and just kind of get back on the road a little bit as well once his kids, are a little bit older. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him back, as an advisor on the board or something like that. So
I agree with you 100%. I think you're going to see a lot of guys that were with the company, particularly during the Attitude Era, over those 5-6 years, come back and kind of run things. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Stone Cold in some type of role. Him and Triple H have a fairly decent relationship, and maybe Steve wants a piece of maybe they'd want his input on things. Same thing with Foley. I think you're going to see Triple H trust the guys that helped cut his teeth in 97, 98, 99, and I think you're going to finally see the product really evolve into something that we as fans can enjoy now, where you have a mix of the product, the wrestling product, and the fun creative part. I think what Triple H is ultimately going to try and do is kind of have a federation / attitude hybrid. That's ultimately what he needs. Something where, and we've been saying, I mean, this isn't news. I mean, you and I have been saying this for months. A combination of a good 80s wrestling product with good matches, and he's got the horses now. There is no doubt about it.
Yep.
And he's picking up the Colt Cabanas and the Ace Steels and the Castagnolis and the who's the other guy?
Chris Hero.
Chris Hero, thank you.
I guess we should touch on that quickly. It sounds like they're definitely coming in and that they're skipping developmental. So
yeah, so your prediction may come true that they may be tag champs at the end of the year.
I think
it's almost like you knew that already. But and the main guy, the linchpin of this whole thing is the guy that's walking down the ramp right now on Raw, and that's John Cena. He is unquestionably, and I think Triple H even admits it. He is the Hulk Hogan of this generation. He is the glue that keeps this fan base together. Whether it's everybody loves him or everybody hates him, he is the glue that keeps this fan base together. And he probably has as much clout, but he's just different. He doesn't use it a lot. He's one of those guys. He's just a good soldier, and just does what he's told. But he is indeed the glue that holds this fan base together. Whether we all hate him or we all love him, he's a guy that Triple H, we know that the creative can lean on for the next 10 years.
And you know what's really great, too, about these last couple weeks that have been, very good episodes of Raw with a lot going on. And they're doing this right now without the best guy in the roster, CM Punk.
Yeah.
Which says a lot to me, because if they can run this as long as they can without killing Punk's heat, but without overusing him, if they can get another 2 or 3 weeks of hot shows without him, and then you bring him back, they really win, because they're not bringing him back too soon to overexpose him. But you don't want to wait too long. You don't want him to come back cold. So,
right.
Like almost with the Matt Hardy stuff back in 2005, it was like I almost waited like 3 weeks too long with him. It was like by the time he actually came back, a lot of people were already fucking tired of the whole thing. So.
Yeah, well, like I said, you and I were at that Ring of Honor show where he got booed out of the building against Christopher Daniels because they already found out that he was coming back, and it wasn't real anymore. It was phony. So, I am dumbfounded at how this everything just went 180. I mean, we were again, and this isn't indicative of Justin and I doing our podcast this way, because we give 150% to every podcast we do, whether it's a Vintage Vault or whether our good friend Leanne comes on or depart, regardless of the topic, we go 100%. But that mid report, that mid-year report, literally felt like we were sleepwalking through and it wasn't because we weren't trying. It's just there really wasn't a lot of good stuff to talk about. Yet in the span of 3 weeks?
Yeah, they've really turned it around. They've really turned it around. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everything is exciting again, and obviously I have a little vested interest because my guy's in charge, and it's fun. And I'd like to have I'd like to think that I can have faith in him continuously making this product better. He's already made it better. He brought JR back. Mm-hmm. And you know that the things he's doing on camera obviously are being created with him off.
Yes, obviously.
And it's almost like he's coming out and saying, well, we talked today and we all decided instead of reading it on Lords of Pain or Online Onslaught, we'll just tell you now on Raw. We brought this guy back. It's almost like he's skipping the internet wrestling community and just telling us on TV, which is pretty funny. And ultimately, and I like your point you said earlier that ultimately, Triple H may end up becoming the most popular guy in all of wrestling because all the things that we want to see happen, he now has the ability to make happen.
Right.
And they weren't burnt out yet. So,
do you think? I'm kind of jumping off topic, but I'm watching this match. It's kind of, hitting me. Should they have saved this for SummerSlam? I know they've kind of penciled in the Cena, Del Rio, or whatever else, and I'm not going to be surprised if Cena wins the title here tonight. But kind of a, for a match I've never had, this is kind of a money match. I'm in the odds of, in the look of not hot-shotting, I'm kind of surprised maybe they didn't have Triple H announce this as the SummerSlam main event. That said, I wouldn't be shocked if they do a 4-way maybe with Cena, Del Rio, where Del Rio doesn't use Money in the Bank, and they do Cena, Del Rio, Miz, and Ray, something like that at SummerSlam maybe.
Yeah, that's why I asked earlier if these two had ever wrestled on camera, because I'm thinking, maybe this is something you don't want to burn off now.
Maybe it ends in a schmaz and then they fight it. It just seems to me the first time these guys could have fought. It seems, SummerSlam is a few weeks away and they kind of don't have, any big match lined up yet. This could have really been more of a draw than.
No, we only got what? We only got, what do we have? Today's the 25th. We only got,
we got two more Mondays, right?
Two more
Raws.
Two more Raws before SummerSlam,
yep.
which is Sunday, August 14th from the Staples Center again. And I don't know. I kind of agree with you. That's why I asked that. I thought, this is kind of weird. This is a real money match, and I don't know. Maybe it's just to make the show a little juicy, but that's fine. I just hope that we're not just getting excited and then, because
I keep cautiously telling myself that, but they've been delivering. So
yeah,
ever since that fateful Punk promo, they have delivered.
Yeah, and I'm actually now. I have not looked this forward to a SmackDown in about 5 years.
Well, you should anyway, honestly, because SmackDown has been good, and this week was very good. So now with the added bonus of Triple H, definitely adds to it.
Yeah,
but I really haven't been this intrigued in the product in a long time. I mean, week to week, not knowing what's kind of a Punk, and then even JR being back adds a whole freshness. We've heard a million matches with JR calling it, but he hasn't been on for how long now? When did he leave? Was it last?
Consistently? Was he? Did he do? He didn't do 26, right? Did he do the second Shawn Taker match?
No, right? That's the one they wanted him back for, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't give it to him.
So I don't think he's been around since.
It's been a while. Late 09?
9, yeah, because he was at 25.
Right.
So it was like mid to late 09, yeah. So it's been probably almost 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So you notice him, that even adds a little freshness hearing him call a lot of these guys we haven't heard him call matches for. So
yeah,
it'd be cool to have him back on board as well. Hopefully it's a permanent thing.
But I trust Punk ultimately to deliver his end of the bargain in this whole thing,
mm-hmm.
and that's why that's where I get the trust from. Nothing to do with Triple H or anybody within the hierarchy and creative. I trust Punk, like I said, like we trusted Pillman in 90, throughout 95, late 95, and I respect you, Booker Man, into 96 with the early years of ECW, and I trust Punk to know to do the right thing continuously and keep this fresh. Yep. I trust him. I have faith in him. And again, you're looking at the Hulk Hogan of this guy's the glue. Punk and Orton and all these different guys are going to keep the spicy part of the show, but ultimately the glue that keeps this company together in terms of the fan base is the guy in the ring right now, John Cena.
All right. So I think we've kind of hit everything we wanted to hit on those major stories. Hopefully we delivered to you fans what you had wanted last week. Hopefully we brought that to you.
Yes.
So I wanted to do a few things. First, I wanted to update you on that Texas score. It's now 20-2 in the 8th.
Who pitched for Minnesota? Blackburn?
I find out for you right now.
No, he pitched yesterday.
It
wasn't Liriano, was it?
Yeah, it was Blackburn. He gave up 6 earned, 9 total in the 2 and 2.
Oh, Liriano, I think pitched yesterday. Okay.
So pretty crazy game
wow.
down there in Texas.
Wow.
So also we wanted to get into the lockout stuff, but I think while we're on the wrestling stuff, we should do feedback and kind of talk about that now, and then if we have time, we'll quickly talk about NFL.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just gonna read. There's no specific thread or comment. These are the threads that I had up throughout the week, various topics. So I'm just gonna kind of read everyone's comments, and we'll just kind of comment as we go. Todd Weber said it was a great pay-per-view, except for that idiot Kelly. They need to bring back Mickie James, and then even Diva matches will be good. And then we kind of went back and forth a little bit. Corey Ferreira, I can agree with that statement. I'm very happy with tonight's pay-per-view results. Jason Greenhouse, best pay-per-view in a long time. Christian getting the strap was great, but holy shit, the bumps he took off the table after the match were insane. I agree with that. You definitely got to check out that match once you get the DVD, obviously.
Yep.
Very good stuff.
Yes.
JBL and Roger Goodell. That's why I said Johnny Ace looks like the son of.
That is pretty funny. They do look alike. That is pretty funny.
So then I commented that you picked the worst possible week to go on a cruise, and this was before, I think. Let's see, this was the 18th at 9 o'clock. So this was before your boy even returned. I
know. That. No, you sent me the text at the same time. Yes, I know. I know.
Let's see here. Okay, so then we had a big thread about who was going to win the tournament. We kind of went back and forth on that. We had a comment, the game is in the house, somewhere in the Caribbean Sea. Scott is shedding a tear.
Yep.
Vince is out, the game's in control, and Scott is in Bermuda. Dennis Nunez, what the hell just happened? I don't know what to think. Corey Ferrer, man, it's going to be epic discussion next week now that he is back. And, of course, our buddy Corey, right up there with you as far as Triple H marks using the capital He for the game.
That's right.
Our stat boy just checked in and said that there is a rumor that the Kings of Wrestling are going to break up this match. I'm not sure if that's substantial or not, but
the Kings of Wrestling. That's Nash and...
No, that's Claudio and Hero.
Oh, Claudio and Hero. Oh, that's right. No, I doubt that.
So we'll see. Trying to find...
Although I wouldn't mind, if Punk is going to create this faction of dudes, Claudio, Hero, Cabana...
Yeah, I mean, it
heel.
could start here,
Yeah. And then maybe they put Daniel Bryan heel on SmackDown, and then all these shoot guys just infiltrate. Who knows?
All right, of course, we have the mega thread. We're going to get to it in a second. Corey Ferrer also told us that Tony Schiavone is on Twitter now at Tony Schiavone24, so all you great WCW Schiavone fans can check that out.
And I'll tell you on a side note, before you move on, I want to mention this about Schiavone. Earlier today on our message board, there it is again, bigelow34.proboards.com. Justin posted our Clash of the Champions 2 review, Miami Mayhem. If you're a Horseman fan, watch it because there's plenty of delicious moments in it. But I actually gained a lot of respect, and you and I talked a lot about this anyway. In fact, you actually are one of the few people I know that genuinely like Tony. I don't hate the guy, but I really did love his announcing from like 85 until he left for WWF. He was really good in these clashes. He kind of, because Bob Caudle half the time sounded like he was.
He really knew his shit.
Building he was in. Yeah, and he really put over the storylines, because half the time I don't think Bob Caudle even knew what the storylines were. And really, go to the guy who, on YouTube, the handle, I think it's, Redneck Spirit Hunter 6 or something, is where this guy has all the shows. So if you find it, go to this guy on YouTube and watch this Clash of the Champions 2. And just, Tony really puts the show. It's one of the times I really paid attention to him. Because again, when I'm at work and Justin does the same thing, a lot of it's listening. And Tony does a great job of getting me into the match while... All
right, speaking of great job, I got to cut you off. I'm sorry. I was trying to let you finish, but you're going on.
Oh, that's okay.
This Cena Ray match has been excellent.
It has. I was about to say the same thing.
In a great spot, Ray reversed the STF and hooked one of his own. Cena powered out of it, lifted Ray, but when he went for the AA, he completely collapsed because his leg fell out from under him. Really cool spot. And JR is kind of going nuts right now. Ray just got caught with knees on a splash off the top. Yep. So, sorry, we're not crazy about doing play-by-play, but, for the next few weeks while Raw's this hot and we're doing these shows, we'll probably be breaking in with updates.
Yeah. I apologize. I mean to go long. I just want
to No, you weren't going long, just too long for me to hold back.
No, that's all right. I was just saying, you were talking about Schiavone on Twitter, and I just wanted to give Tony his props because he really was a great announcer in the late 80s. I think he when he started like wearing the polo shirts that were 4 sizes too small, grew the mullet, and pretty much did what Bischoff told him.
He was good until about like 98 when the NWO was starting to kind of run its course, and he was still good in those early NWO days. Right. But once Bobby started to become disenfranchised and Schiavone, you could tell he was kind of getting tired of everything. By 98, 99, he was awful. So
yeah. But anyway, so Schiavone's on Twitter. So I'm going to start paying attention to him now. Wow! Cena just threw this weird power bomb. I think
he just chucked him.
Right shoulder. Jesus.
Yeah,
this match has been ridiculous. It really has been very, very good.
Okay. We were talking about Daniel Bryan's promo on SmackDown and then his really good match with Heath Slater right after. Chris Sanchez, James, Triple H truthfully running things is paying dividends for 2011. Corey Ferrer, and everyone bitched Hunter was taking over, and look what he's done since stepping back in from the ring. In-ring action area has become quite good. Todd, and he said, people got to stop the Hunter hate. It's so 2003. Todd Weber, it's weird all the program lately seems to feature knees. So I'm not, if it means like knee
lifts
and knee lifts.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Jay Hinchy agrees.
It's like 3 knee lifts in this match so far, it seems like.
Jay Hinchy agrees that SmackDown is really good this week. And then we had some comments today. Karen Polland.
It's Scott.
He came back from holiday once and found out Shane McMahon had quit WWE. Says, clearly you have better luck than he does when it comes to vacations.
Yes.
And then Jason Greenhouse said he couldn't wait to hear your reaction. Dave Hall said he hears you want Hexo Jim Duggan to be GM. And Corey Ferrer says the Triple H fans will unite on this episode of The Place to Be. Jeremy Nichols, and I'm going to read this word for word. I cannot believe how incredibly well the whole Punk angle has been handled. If this changes they're willing to make, the WWE may bring back viewers like myself. And Corey Ferreira, the last month has been the best WWE TV I've watched since the build to WrestleMania 25 in 2009. The Money in the Bank show last weekend was an all-time classic, and will be remembered with other great shows like In Your House, Canadian Stampede, Backlash 2000, and No Way Out 2001, and John Cena has just won the WWE Championship.
Yes, Ray just walked into an AAFU, FUAA, AUFU, whatever the hell it is.
So there you go. It was a roundabout way, but they got the title back on Cena. So
poor Ray.
Okay. Where are we at? It's great. WWE or CM Punk himself been carrying on the angle outside of TV and his appearance at WWE's panel at Comic-Con, adding to his rivalry with Triple H. Next is the latest exit of Mr. McMahon character. I marked out huge when I heard the best theme music of wrestling history play on last week's Raw to see Triple H return in a suit and to all become the new on-screen boss of WWE. People complain about the promo between Hunter and Vince with crying and I love you pop line. I think that added the realism to the angle. And Hunter having trouble firing his father-in-law. I'm hoping we see a return of the best female in WWE history, Stephanie McMahon, either as GM or Hunter's second in command. Lastly, good to hear the NFL is close to resolving the lockout. We might see some action this year. Any thoughts on a potential Brett Favre return? So we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, good God.
And then we have some really good memories that we'll be getting into. I don't know, maybe we'll read them next week when we have the winner on. Of course, we'll get to that in a minute, our contest. Let's see here, and that's it really for feedback. So, but we do have one major thread we wanted to get to. It looks like, holy shit, they're actually using the theme. Cult of Personality's playing.
Really?
Of course, that's CM Punk's Ring of Honor theme. And Cena's just standing in the ring looking all around.
I can't believe they're actually going to reuse the Razor Ramon Shawn Michaels storyline.
I know, this is crazy. But is it going to be Punk? Is it going to be the Kings of Wrestling? Will it be no one? Or are they just going to fade off on that?
Somebody's walking out. Oh, there he is.
It's Punk?
With his belt and his old, I don't know whose T-shirt that is, but it's pretty.
No, that's one he had at the pay-per-view. I think that's the one he had. He had one of the pay-per-view that had the date on it in the back. It said like best in the world. Let's see if that's the one.
I think I might actually buy that shirt.
Yeah, that's the one. Sweet. Best in the world that had the date of the pay-per-view. We are sorry, fans. I know you don't want to hear us sit here in silence. We'll try and talk our way through this, but this is pretty freaking awesome right now.
I think I'm going to buy that T-shirt. I think I really am. But anyway, let me preface.
No, we gotta. I don't want to ruin that.
Okay.
While this is going on, because we're really going to hit that, and I want to do that well. So
yeah. So
let's see what happens here. Any thoughts on the lockout ending? It looks like the season's starting back up this week. I guess league business anyway.
Yeah. It looks like camps can open over the next 3 or 4 days. Your favorite team, the Patriots, I think can unlock tomorrow. I'm just happy it's done because I hate to say it, brother, but I don't think you're going to see much NBA for a while.
Probably not.
The schedule actually came out, the NBA schedule, and once again, the Lakers was Al Gore in Punk's fucking entrance movie?
I think so.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The schedule is out, and the only highlight that I see is that Christmas went from 5 games to 3 games. The Lakers are playing the Bulls. It's actually a good triple header.
Yep.
It's Celtics-Knicks, then obviously the rematch. Your Mr. Azzaro, world champion Dallas Mavericks, play the Heat again. And then the nightcap is the Lakers and the Bulls. So it's actually a good Christmas day, and only 3 games. But this is pretty hilarious that the two of them are standing in the ring with each other's belts. Both the same. And they're both goddamn hideously ugly. So I would like to have seen, and Punk does not have.
That's it. It's going to end with them staring down. Pretty cool. So
yeah.
I'm guessing. What do you think? Title versus title for SummerSlam, and do you think Punk leaves after that? Are they really going to end it this quick?
No, I don't think so. First of all, I'd like to know how. Now, if we want to be particularly picky, I'd like to know how Punk got in the building.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably say Triple H rehired him. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hunter will talk about it on.
I think they're going to do title for title at SummerSlam.
And I'd like to see Punk win it again. Why not? Anyway, I'm happy the lockout's done. I can handle, believe it or not seeing basketball for a while. As much as I love the Lakers, I can be. I don't think it'll bother me not seeing. First of all, I'll be too hyped in seeing the Bruins try to defend their championship anyway. I won't even care. And we all need football. We need football. It's in our consciousness, and for us baseball fans whose teams will be out of it by the time the NFL season starts, we'll kind of need our fun. So, and
just to break in on that, I'm sorry, we're all over the place, but this is kind of a big night going on. PW Insider's reporting that Cena Punk for the unified title will be SummerSlam main event.
Okay. I'm buying that Punk T-shirt, by the way.
That's a pretty awesome shirt.
It is an awesome shirt. This guy might be the new face of the marketing of this company too, in terms of merchandise.
I'm just hoping that they didn't do the whole re-sign for a month thing, get us to the next pay-per-view through SummerSlam with a big match, and then take off. I'm a little afraid that may happen, but I think he'll be back either way, but before WrestleMania to do the match with Triple H.
Yeah,
I think they're headed there eventually.
Yeah, I agree too. Unless Punk's changed his mind and decided he doesn't feel like leaving. Then who the hell knows?
I can't see if that was happening, though. I don't know if they'd be blowing it off at SummerSlam like this. You know what I mean? I don't know if they'd be doing it that soon.
Yeah, that's true, too. Well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have more to talk about. But good Raw tonight. It's good to see Triple H. I'm going to actually rewatch. When we're done taping, I'm actually going to rewatch his speech in the middle.
Okay. All right, so let's quickly wrap up on the lockout since we touched on it. And then
I'm looking forward to it, mostly because... we both have a lot of optimism for our teams, and now I feel comfortable finally promoting our big, exciting place to be podcast, NFL/college football.
Well, your boy here from episode 1 in February on has said that there will be a season. I knew all along they were not going to cancel that.
I didn't think they were going to cancel the season either. I thought maybe we'd lose maybe a week or two. I hope they cut. I hope this means they'll cut some preseason because I could give two shits about the preseason anyway. So hopefully maybe they'll only do 2 games of preseason and then everything else. Because you and I, we got a big opening weekend, my friend.
How wild is it going to be with NFL free agency? I think starting Friday night? I know trades can start tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
But I think free agency starts
Friday night.
Yes, Friday night, and then with the trade deadline for baseball,
it's Sunday at 4 o'clock.
So it's gonna be a wild weekend for sports
and it's a big
fans.
weekend and that'll be a big weekend for me because maybe the biggest trade involves my guy Carlos Beltran. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I have a feeling if we don't get a chance to talk about it again this week, my guess is Carlos Beltran will go to the Giants. Yeah. He doesn't want to play in the American League. I don't think he'll go to the Red Sox. You guys don't need him. You don't need another outfielder.
I think they do need him because I think they could use him as. And him and Switch are basically could platoon right field and DH. I'd take him in a heartbeat if they could to get him.
Well, if he did, I'd like to think that the Yankees would give the Mets something good. You
can have Francisco Cervelli.
Yeah, thanks. I'll take that too. No, I think he's going to go to the Giants. The Giants need the hitting just as much as anybody, and if they're going to keep pace, because they're the only team in the National League that can match Philadelphia's pitching, they need at least one bopper in the lineup. So my guess is at 4 o'clock on Sunday, Carlos Beltran will be a Giant. That's just my opinion.
I don't know who the Yankees are going to get. They definitely need a pitcher. There's a rumor out there that they may get Ubaldo Jimenez. I think it would be too much to give up for him if what Colorado wants is true. So I can't really see that happening. Cashman always kind of comes out of nowhere with someone, so it's hard for me to ever really speculate what they're going to end up with. There's rumors now that Hiroki Kuroda from the Dodgers has said that he would waive his no-trade clause to go to the Yankees or Red Sox. So, he'd be a good pickup. I'm not sure, how he translate, but if you're looking at kind of lower level guys like that, I don't know as far as big names go, who's out there for them to land.
Right. No, we'll have to wait and see. I think it'll be interesting this weekend. And in terms of free agents in football, I'm not sure where we'll go with that.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to look forward to. I mean, the Jets alone have a lot of big name free agents. You got Sean Ellis, Santonio Holmes, Braylon Edwards, Brad Smith. A lot of big pieces. Antonio Cromartie. They've always been aggressive, which is why I like being a Jets fan. It was miserable for a while, but now it's, we're kind of to the point where they have become kind of one of the big boys in the league. They will spend the money. They don't care. So they do get creative as well with the cap. So it'll be curious to see where they go.
Yeah, I think they'll keep Santonio Holmes. I think he is your linchpin of the offense.
Yeah, they have to keep
Braylon Edwards, I don't know. He was kind of a pain in the ass last year with the DUI. He was kind of a mopey little prick.
The only reason I think they may keep him is, he's talked so much about how much he really loves being in New York, how they stood behind him during the DUI stuff. He seems to really be at home with Mark Sanchez. And, a lot of the dropping issues he had in Cleveland has kind of been resolved. Granted, in Cleveland, he always had shit quarterbacks thrown to him, so that's probably part of it. But, he's been really good for the Jets. He's made a lot of big catches over the last few years. Since he arrived. So, I'd love to see him come back, and I wouldn't be surprised. He made a lot of money in Cleveland. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back on a short, lower money deal just to have a shot to win and to be in New York. Brad Smith is kind of the mystery guy. I could see some team like Washington throwing a shitload of money at him. It just seems like a move they would make. If he doesn't get any big offers, they'll bring him back. But I don't think they're going to overpay for him. And Cromartie, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually on ESPN right now because I'm curious. I don't know off the top of my head who the Cowboys free agents are. Let's see. I'm trying to look and see who the free agents are. I'll have to look. But obviously, there's a new era in Dallas. Obviously, the Jason Garrett era will start full blast. I think that offensively, I think you'll see the Cowboys look a lot better. I think Jason Garrett will let Romo kind of open things up a bit if he can, keep his head straight. The NFC East is going to be kind of all over the place. Not one team looks dominant this year. They're all going to be very close. So the problem I have is their bye is early. It's actually the second Sunday in October. I hate when the byes are that early. But, and then they got some tough stretches. They do got to play the Patriots in New England. So the schedule doesn't totally favor them. The Jets schedule actually is not bad. They could win.
I'm looking forward to it.
Games.
I'm hoping. My expectations, usually aren't high because after 2 years ago, they kind of seemed like, they really that good? Did they back in all that crap? After coming off of last year and knowing now kind of where this franchise is, I'll be disappointed if they don't have a deep playoff run. Depending on what they do in free agency. I love, in football, you can cut guys, you can do whatever the hell you want. I love teams that spend the money, hit the cap, are creative with the cap, and do what they can to win. Because football is such a win-now sport, and you can turn things around so quickly. And that's why I really like this new Jets regime and what they've done. They don't care. They'll spend the money. They'll go out and get whatever they need to get and do whatever they need to do. And they'll bring guys in. Football, to me, is a one sport, too. You can bring these questionable guys in. And if they don't work out, you cut them. And if they do, great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I found a list of the Cowboys free agents. There's really nobody outstanding. Alan Ball is a restricted free agent. Sensabaugh, the safety, Gerald Sensabaugh. Marcus Spears is a free agent. Sam Hurd, who might move up the depth chart at wide receiver, is a free agent. So there's a couple of guys. Kyle Kozier, the offensive guard. Doug Free. There's Alex Barron they won't bring back because he's the guy who was caught holding like 11 times in that opening loss to the Redskins. So he's not coming back. So there's really a couple of guys that they don't have to totally worry about in terms of major impact players, but we'll see what happens. Cowboys can begin contact players 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And Friday at 6 o'clock Eastern time, teams can extend offer sheets and sign players.
Okay. So it'll be interesting.
So it'll
be a good weekend. We'll get a lot more into football. We'll kind of wrap that up there because we got other stuff to do quickly.
Yeah. Now, I don't know when you guys report to Hofstra. It says here the Cowboys will open up camp in San Antonio on Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's all pretty much between Thursday and like Monday. I think all the camps are opening. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it'll be a fun weekend now with baseball and football. A lot of transactions going on. And we will be doing tons of football stuff towards the end of August, college and NFL. We're going to be doing... We haven't decided yet if it's going to be part of our weekly headline show, or we may try and start squeezing a third show in. It'll be a quick one where we basically just preview the NFL week every week. So
it might be like a half hour, maybe. Yeah,
we're kind of still batting that idea around. So we'll get more into that. But I did want to get into one last feedback thread here. Mm-hmm. And now this has to do with one of our longtime good listeners, Rob Houston, of course, longtime friend of mine. One of our first real fans when we were just starting out. Rob kind of, he's been a little quiet lately, but he kind of stepped up and got in our face over this last week, starting on July 21st. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the thread, and I want you to bring your rebuttal, and then we'll go from there with Rob, and we'll see if maybe he has a response for you. Rob Houston, if there was any week to do a podcast, this was the week. I call for a guest host. I respond, I know, it's Scott's fault. We'll make up for it with our next one. Of course, your good PIC throwing you immediately under the bus.
Well, with you, that doesn't surprise me half the time, but that's all right.
Rob Houston immediately hitting a nerve, bringing in to effect one of our past hosts. Jeremy Nichols did a great job when he was on. Suit him up and get one done. I respond, Scott has a fragile ego. He may break down if I do that to him. Jeremy was great, though. Corey Ferreira comes to his Triple H fanboy's defense. You can't do a show based around Triple H without Scott, and it wouldn't be right. Todd Weber. Scott's hero role model Triple H is important enough to your PIC to be called Paul, Hunter, or Trips. Very true. Steve and Scott, the PIC, original PICs. I respond. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You respond. Rob, I'm devastating. I can't believe. Corey, thank you for sticking up for the co-host. And you said as long as Scott C is a PIC, Rob Houston will have an uphill battle winning any contests. Rob comes back yesterday at 6:05 p.m. No disrespect, but after a week like we had, there's a need for a show. If Hacksaw Jim Duggan was killed, we'd have a live feed from the cruise line. Quite true. Lots of...
Yeah, you might be right on that. I might have a party. I might have the captain host a party for me.
And I come back. Lots of tensions here. Will Scott address us tomorrow? Stay tuned. Rob will deliver the goodness. I will never let Scott go on vacation again. Or maybe we should, since he brought us the best week in wrestling in 10 years. And you took umbrage to me saying I let you do things, but everyone knows the truth that I carry you. So, Scott, go ahead and bring your response to the ballsy, angry, upset Rob Houston.
Well, first off, if you want to, I have the better voice anyway, so you can push all the buttons and I'll just talk. That's usually what I do in my business anyway.
I don't know about that, Mikey.
Yeah. But, we have a very loyal and very opinionated PTB Nation. And I wouldn't want a fan base any other way. But you, Rob Houston, have the nerve to try and get inside my PIC's head. Now he'll cast some stones and do his little Larry David jibes, and that's fine. I accept that from him. But never should any member of the Place to Be Nation attempt to get into my PIC's head and sway him. Ever. Particularly when it comes to professional wrestling. The PIC and I have almost 50 years experience in watching wrestling. And we've written reports, we've written columns. This is our ship. We steer it. So the next time, Rob Houston, think twice before you try and get into my PIC's head and infiltrate. Because he can say what he wants. You will never, ever be on this show. Ever.
Now, is it too late for me to say I agree with Rob? No, okay. Wow, the gauntlet has been thrown, Rob Houston. We await your response on the Facebook page. And while Scott says you may not ever be on, I may be able to get you on. And maybe we'll have a little direct debate. We'll see. But we anticipate the response of Rob Houston and the rest of the PTB Nation chiming in on this. So before we wrap up, now that is done, business is taken care of. We thank you, as always, for listening. We hope we delivered an entertaining show for you with Scott coming back off the high seas for his fair trip on the seas.
Yes.
And we do want to go ahead and start wrapping things up. But we wanted to talk about quickly, because there's only 1 week remaining, and that is the PTB fan contest. We've had a lot of entries so far. We need you to bring us your favorite moments from the first 50 episodes. And also, we want you to talk about, how we'll get you into the show, anything like that. And also, I'm also calling for any kind of funny Photoshops. If you can do that and make us laugh, you may also win via that. We might even need the memory. Of course, I already wanted one Photoshop of Scott painting Jim Duggan like the Titanic.
Oh, God.
I did not get that answered, unfortunately. So, but if anyone can come through with any of that, you may win the contest. Of course, the contest is next Monday is our 50th episode. We'll be bringing you episode 49 later this week with WrestleMania 7. But episode 50 will be next Monday night. And we're going to have our buddy, our good friend, Joseph Leon. He's a movie reviewer. He writes for 411 Mania and the blog of Doom called The Bloody Good Time. Focuses mainly on horror stuff, but also does a lot of current movie reviews. So he's going to come on, talk about the summer movie season and other stuff coming up. But we also want to have one of you on, our fan of the first 50 episodes. So if you win the contest, you will be joining us for the entire episode next Monday. Of course, you do need Skype and a microphone to get this done, so we'll have to get that taken care of. So we want to wrap this contest up probably by Wednesday, so then we can work out the details. So you get a couple more days to get your submissions in. We do want to hear from you and see if you're down to be on the show next week if you win the contest. So.
Yeah. And it's going to be fun. I didn't think, when Justin and I first started doing these in February, when we first put the idea together, we never would have thought it was going to take. We thought 50. We're like, wow, 50 podcasts. Maybe we'll get to that by Christmas.
Yeah.
But this has just been so much fun. It's been a pleasure. My friend, we've known each other for 8 years, and we've finally been able to put our talents together to put together a product that we can be proud of, and we're happy that you, as the PTB Nation, can be proud of, except Rob Houston. And I'm looking forward to next Monday night. First of all, I love having new guests on. It's always fun.
Yep.
And I did actually see a great summer movie on Friday. For those that have not seen Captain America, I recommend it highly. It's probably the best superhero movie in the last 5 years. It was awesome, absolutely awesome. But yeah, we're looking forward to that. And of course, on Thursday we will deliver you WrestleMania 7.
Yep.
Which actually is fresh in my mind because I just watched the True Story of WrestleMania DVD and it went through the whole thing with Slaughter, and it'll be interesting. But yeah, we'll definitely have that for you on Thursday. Corey Ferreira, if I had my way, you'd already be hosting the show on Monday. But I don't. This is a democracy.
We'll see. It'll definitely be interesting.
So it'll be
we
fun.
got some good submissions so far, that's for sure.
Yes. No, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
And so from there also, we have some good stuff coming up over the next couple weeks. As always, we're going to be doing, like we did for WrestleMania, we're going to do a SummerSlam Listomania.
Yep.
So we get that coming in the next couple weeks. We got the NFL stuff coming. We also have some really good interviews lined up we'll be getting to as well. So get those submissions in for the first 50 episode fan of those episodes, and we want to have you on next week.
Yep.
Of course, we want to welcome Scott back to the fold.
As always.
It was a good time. Good time, Scott. We had a good time breaking this down. Your boy is back. Things are happening. We've got a lot going on. NFL's back. Big week. So, as always, thank you for listening. We will talk to you later this week with WrestleMania 7.